There we go. And we're live. All right. And we're live. There we go. I don't know. It's hard to tell with this, what's going on over here. All right. We are now 10 minutes away. Getting a little bit late on the stream here, but 10 minutes away from puck drop for Kraken versus the Montreal Canadiens. Second home game for the Kraken, and the first time a team from Montreal has played in Seattle since the 1919 Stanley Cup that never finished. So, this one's for the 1919 Stanley Cup, right? That's why we got this on. This is somewhat similar to what Seattle was wearing the last time Montreal was in town. Obviously, been 102 years, so I don't think anybody's still alive that remembers that one. But yeah, we're getting ready here. Hopefully the Kraken, another team that's come out of the gates pretty slow in Montreal, so hopefully the Kraken can get back on the win train and maybe get a little win streak going here. But we'll see. Should be good. Checking the scoreboard around. Check what's going on around here. I know the Flames won today. They're off to a pretty good start this season, which that's one of the teams that we kind of thought the Kraken might compete for that last playoff spot in the Pacific, especially if only 3 teams from the Pacific go to the playoffs. So they're off to a good start and actually look pretty good. Obviously, the first loss to Vancouver is not a huge deal. Still lots of season left, and Vancouver, I won't say looked super convincing. Seattle looked like the better team for most of that game and just didn't come out on top of it, so that's all right. Looks like an elf outfit. Yeah, this is the old Montreal Canadiens. This is the old Seattle Metropolitans jersey. We got the Kraken one in the background, but I figured, we got a game that's got some history behind it, so we'll go with the historical sweater. Obviously, that 1919 Stanley Cup cut short after 4 games into the series. Back then, it was just a 5-game series, and that was the Seattle Metropolitans were in the PCHA, so they weren't even an NHL team. But yeah, that one was cut short because of the Spanish flu in 1919. So here we are 102 years later, and we're in the next global pandemic after that one. It just took 100 years to try it again. Another pandemic, another Seattle versus Montreal matchup, though this time it's not for the Stanley Cup, but we'll see. Maybe there's still a chance, still enough season. I think it would be a pretty long shot to see Seattle and Montreal playing for the Stanley Cup in June, but still possible. Amazing how history repeats. Yep. There's some things you want to repeat and other things maybe not so much. Pandemics, I think we could all safely say that we've had our fill of after, one in our lifetime now. Been going on for a year plus at this point. Getting things situated and waiting for the stream to come on here at 7. Obviously, I don't have cable, so we're working off of a ESPN Plus stream right now. So it will be a little bit delayed if you're watching this, especially if you're watching on cable, and even if you're watching it on a stream, because of the YouTube stream delay and the ESPN stream delay. My reactions will be, if this is the first stream you've been a part of, they will be a little delayed. But that's okay. You can watch the game and then see the reaction to stuff right afterwards. Or like 30 seconds afterwards. Only got a few people in here in the early going. Good to see you guys in here. Second stream of the regular season. Should be good. Got any questions, obviously. I know there's not a ton of people in there, but if you got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Let's see what other games we got going on as we wait for the Kraken to get started here. Vegas is up 2-1 on the Avalanche, end of the second, so that's hopefully we'll see that one switch. Especially as a old Avalanche fan, I would, it's probably before the Kraken joined, that's probably my favorite team versus one of my least favorite teams. I liked the Golden Knights in their first season when it was kind of like the crazy Cinderella story, but I got tired of them pretty quick. So hopefully the Avalanche can get that one turned around. Predators up on the Sharks 2-0. Sharks also off to a pretty hot start, which is definitely unexpected. And if you look at a lot of their like underlying numbers past the record, I would expect this one to fall off. They're, I think, like 25th or 28th in the NHL in shots. They just have like a ridiculous shooting percentage, which will definitely come down. So if they can't, if they keep up the pace at which they're creating offensive chances, they're going to start scoring a lot less goals as the season goes on, and that record will start coming down. Just kind of what we expect. I don't think we expect a lot from the Sharks, other than the Sharks organization's like putting on this face like they expect a lot from the team, but we'll see, I guess. Let's see what else we have. Lightning beat up on the Penguins. So Lightning kind of an iffy start to their season, and Penguins starting off hot, but it's still early, and the Lightning are still the Lightning. It's a good team, and they're going to be one of the top teams in that division, if not the top team by the end of the season. So 5-1 over the Penguins, and this is still a Penguins roster that's missing most of their top guys. They're still missing Malkin. Sounds like Letang's out from what I saw. They're still missing Crosby. I don't know if Rust is in there yet, but not the Penguin lineup we're used to seeing. And then coming up at 7 here, alongside the Kraken game, will be the Canucks hosting the Wild and Ducks hosting the Jets. So as far as division standings are concerned, we're pulling for the Wild and Jets here as well in the evening. In the evening games. But welcome in, everybody. All few of you that are in here so far. I'm going to the Sabres game on the 4th. Anything to watch for? The Sabres are an interesting team. I mean, that's a game that I think you probably would have felt pretty good about. Like, we're going to go watch the Kraken win coming into the season, but the Sabres off to a 4-1-1 start, which is not something anybody saw coming. They look like they're having fun playing together, which is not something we saw at all last year, pretty much. Skinner looks good, which is definitely not something we saw last year at all. Same really with like Okposo, Olofsson. But especially some of those bad contracts that looked really bad. If those guys can get things turned around, which they have the ability to do, maybe those don't look quite as bad. And then really the last story around that team is just what happens with Jack Eichel. I still don't think we expect a lot from the Sabres. That's not a record that's going to maintain itself over the course of the season. That's still probably the last, like, them and the Devils are the last two teams in that division. So we'll see what happens with those two, but it kind of depends as far as what to see from the Kraken. It depends on what goes on in these next few games before the 4th, especially if they're gonna kind of have this. They've been improving over the last few games, and even though they haven't been, well, I shouldn't say that. They really didn't. They've been improving since, I guess, since the Philly game, which that's about as bad as it can go. The New Jersey game, they looked tired still, but better. And obviously that was the return of Gordon. That kind of, I think, was most of the difference between the New Jersey game and the Philadelphia game, as well as New Jersey not being able to really take advantage of as many mistakes as Philadelphia was. But they looked a lot better on the few days rest against Vancouver in that game on Saturday. So we'll kind of see which Kraken show up tonight. Hopefully, if it's the same team that shows up against Vancouver, they've got a very good shot at winning. But I think the main thing to watch is just see what lines start to gel. How the defense especially, I think, is the biggest thing we're looking for improvement. The offense has been kind of hit or miss for the Kraken so far, and that's, I mean, the fact that there's been really offensive upside so far, which there has been some offensive upside from them in a couple of games. Even in the Vancouver game, I would say they looked pretty good. They created a lot of chances. Just Demko was playing very, very well, and they couldn't get some bounces to go their way. They raised the Metropolitans banner tonight. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of thought if they were gonna raise it, it probably would be against the Canadiens. I'm still waiting for the stream to get going, so I guess I'll have to watch that later. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have cable, so I mean, it's fortunate that I'm glad I don't have cable because it's kind of a, I don't know, rip-off, but Would be nice to be able to just watch Root Sports, but hopefully they can get on some streaming services so we can make that happen. But it'll be fun to see that banner. Hopefully, I don't know when the next game I'll be at is, but be fun to see that banner up there in the rafters. See if I can find it on Twitter here. Not that I can. Oh, they got some stuff. Looks like they got some Metropolitan stuff set up around the arena. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they got some like stands set up around the arena for the Metropolitans. There's the banner in the rafters. Some people noticing it before game, like Paul Buxton noticing it before game. Sounds like they got that unveiled. Oh, there we go. See if I can get this up here. I'm gonna pull this up on Twitter so we can all look at the. I don't know if you guys are seeing the banner right now on the. If you're probably watching it, but. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's do this. I'll transition back here. Sorry, the stream's not. Trying to get this stream back up here. The things we do to try and watch games when they're not on cable. Here we go. Now we're in business. Now we're in business. Sorry about that little hiccup there. I guess I don't have the sound added in here. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because I don't want to get shut down for having that on there. All right, there we go. We'll switch back here. So sorry that that banner's coming down there. That's the from the 1917 Cup. Obviously, as most of us probably at this point know, first U.S. team to win the Stanley Cup. And then 2 years later, that Stanley Cup they also won against the Metropolitans, or against the Metropolitans. They were the Metropolitans. Seattle won that cup against the Canadiens, and then 2 years later play them again. And then that's the one that gets shut down because of the 1919 pandemic, the Spanish flu as it was called. But nice Metropolitans jersey, appreciate it. Yep, repping it. This looks like they unveiled the championship banner tonight, so gotta have the gotta represent. Figured if there's a game I'm gonna wear it, which I'll probably wear it every now and then, but if there's a game to wear it, it was definitely this one. So the Kraken didn't keep young player Barry Boulet. Didn't play well. I actually thought he played in one game for them. He played in the New Jersey game, and I thought he played pretty well. Ultimately, what that came down to was they just didn't have a forward spot for him anymore because they basically signed him off of waivers because he's a good player, good young player, and they were right to pick him up, but they had Calle Yarncroke still on COVID at that point. Blackwell still injured, although I'm not sure he's back yet even. But they had some spots on their roster, and with Yarncroke coming back, they needed to make a spot on the forward end, and Barry Boulet, they waived him. Probably were hoping he would get down to the minors, but Tampa Bay had a couple of injuries, so they had spots open up and grabbed their guy back. So yeah, it wasn't because Barry Boulet didn't play well. It was just kind of he, you know, new to the team, so had to make a spot and got rid of it. So yo, what's up, Habs fans? Love the Habs. That's Joseph. Yeah, not the start either of these teams were hoping for to the season so far. So one of them will at least get things turned around a little bit. Do you have a favorite player on the Kraken? Um, Early on, I mean Yanni, like I would say Donskoy was kind of one of my favorites coming into the season, just because he was from the Avalanche. Obviously Grubauer as well. Um, at this point, it's probably either Tanev or Yanni Gord early on. Yanni Gord's just so much fun to watch compared to pretty much anyone else on the team offensively. And Tanev is definitely their energy guy, I would say. He just plays fast and rough, which is always fun to watch. And obviously, tied for the lead in goals for the team so far, so that doesn't hurt either. I'm gonna transition back to the check out that banner again because it. So yeah, the banner that went out there. Yeah, it sounds like the see show the unveiling. Oh, there it is coming down. It's from Paul. So there's the banner up in the corner there. He's like right aligned with it, so you can kind of see it unfurling, but you can't see what it is. But yeah, there's the banner there. Banner that they won that cup against the Canadiens, so only too fitting that they unveil it, playing them again for the first time in 102 years. Get this. Those national anthems wrapping up. Go Kraken. Couldn't agree more. Joseph says go Habs. That's all right. It's all right. You're welcome here as well. All right, we got Grubauer back in goal. See if I find lines here. A lot of people just posting about the banner, so it's trying to find the lines, but oh, here we go. So we got Schwartzgord, Yarncroke is the first line, Donskoy, Wemberg, Eberle second line, Tanev, McCann, Appleton as the third line. That's definitely a line to watch. And then Donato, Cheyenne, Geeky is the fourth line. So that's definitely the most, I would say, fully put together offensive. Like I would say those are the best looking lines that we've seen all season. Obviously, it helps to have guys like Gordon, Yarncroke healthy and back with the team, but that looks a lot more, I think, like what they probably wanted. Defensive pairings: Giordano, Alexiak. So we're finally to the one that kind of made sense. Lauzon, Larson, Fleury back in the lineup on the third pair with Dunn. So here we go. We're off. Canadiens get possession early on. And Seattle gets it. Nice turnover. Dumps it into the corner. Oh, my stream's a little grainy here. So I just tipped off. We're at, if you want to sync up your stream with mine, feel free. Just hit 19. Just hit 1930 right now if you wanted to. Oh. Yes! They scored! Oh my goodness, sorry, my... Sorry, my internet's pooping out here. Got too many streams going on, I guess. I'm trying to get it figured out, but cracking off score right off the bat there. That's what you want to see. And it's Jordan Eberle finally on the board. Beautiful. Sorry about that ill-timed stream crapping out there. But we got it. Got in there. And Eberle, like, every game, I don't know if he had one in the Vancouver game, but, like, every game of that road trip, he had one right in front of the net that he'd every time, like, bounce over his stick or would get robbed by an incredible save. So for him to finally get on the board, it's not one of those tough in front of the net ones like he was missing on during the road trip, but good to see Eberle finally get on the board. Hopefully that's the first of many for him. And then he goes right to the box, of course. Got a little too excited. Yep. Just trying to go for the puck, but a little late and gets his stick right in between the legs, and that's about as easy as they come as far as tripping calls are concerned. Yikes. So yeah, the second worst power play in the league for the Canadiens. 8.7%. I was almost expecting that first shot to go in after they were just talking about how bad their power play has been. Ooh, good chance for Caulfield, but Grubauer able to get over. I think that might have gone off the post, but yeah, he's slowed across and got that transition pretty good. There we go. So Kraken just trying to kill time there. So like if we're watching it and kind of thinking like, oh, why they had it in the offensive zone? Why'd they just pass it back all of a sudden like out of the offensive zone? It's just they're just trying to like obviously if you can get a shorthanded goal, you take it, but the number one thing is to try and kill as much time as possible. So Gord didn't see anything he liked there, and just the longer the Kraken can keep possession there, the more time they're wasting from the power play. So that's the goal there. And it just slowly gets out again. And that'll get the Kraken time to change to their second power kill unit, or maybe back to the first one. I don't know if they got a change earlier. Great start so far, though. The PK has looked like the PK has definitely been one of the bright spots of this team so far. Obviously, they kind of had that quick one against Vancouver that's wasn't ideal, but the PKs looked pretty good for the Kraken. It's kind of the one defensive thing. Like we were expecting them to be a good defensive team, and that's the PK or penalty kills the one thing defensively that they've actually looked like kind of what we expected and been good. 5-on-5 defense has been a lot more hit or miss and on the miss side than we were kind of expecting and hoping for coming into the season. But you know, still early on, still just 6 games for the Kraken so far. This one being the 7th. So kind of both teams struggling to get to possession too much here. Kraken had it for a bit, but couldn't really get transitioned into the offensive zone. Still playing a lot of dump and chase, which they didn't do as swallowed up by Grubauer. Whew, that was not the turnover, not where you want to be turning over the puck for the Kraken there. But yeah, the Seattle's been doing a lot of the dump and chase, and kind of they were especially on the road trip, a lot of dump and chase into the zone, which gives up possession is not my favorite thing in the world. they just weren't able to transition. They could get into the neutral zone all right and keep that kind of that forecheck, but they were just having a hard time getting into the offensive zone consistently, even when they had possession. So then that Vancouver game, that was kind of one of the best signs in that Vancouver game, is they were actually transitioning through the neutral zone into the offensive zone really, really smoothly for the most part, and much more consistently than they had it all during the road trip. So even though it didn't turn into a win or as many goals as we saw in like the Nashville game. Oh, come on, guys. So there again, they kind of not the most crisp passing ever. That's interesting. Alexiak and Fleury out there at the same time. So I guess those defensive pairings are already getting shuffled up, and we've seen a lot of that from the Kraken. They'll start with one lineup, but things do not always last that way for even the entire first period, much less the entire game. Show the game, please. Unfortunately, I can't. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could stream it, but that's not really how copyright works. You can't just show the game unless you have the rights to it, which I obviously do not. Wish I could though. You should do a Halloween stream. I mean, I don't know how different it would be than other streams. I could spruce up the little banners and stuff, maybe, but we'll see. I don't know. I think we might have plans on Halloween. I don't know. We'll have to see what the schedule looks like outside of Kraken games. But oh, passing. See, there's more of that kind of what we were just talking about during the road trip with them having a hard time transitioning into the offensive zone, even with possession. Just kind of they had it in the neutral zone there, but couldn't really get the transition across the blue line into the Canadiens side. There we go. Let's see if they can make it happen. Appleton kind of just dumps it in. I mean, as long as they can win the puck battles along the boards, then it's fine. But they've been winning, I think, most of the puck battles so far. It just kind of, it's not ideal. There we go. Here's a nice pass into the. Oh, good defense by the Canadiens, by the Habs. There we go. Dunn's got it. Ooh. Nice shot by Fleury. Gets deflected. And the Habs will dump it in for the change. Fleury gets a little extra hit in there. Just trying to dump it into change, and Fleury just gave him a shoulder for good measure. Ah, Gravitas in here. All right. Welcome, welcome. Go Seattle. Absolutely agree. You're ahead of me, big rip. That's weird. Yeah, I feel like I'm probably not ahead of too many people because we got the ESPN Plus stream delay and then the YouTube stream delay. So the kind of the back-to-back stream delays make it. I can't imagine I'm ahead of too many people, but currently just crossed 12 minutes left in the first. Not a lot of shots on goal on either side. 3 for Seattle, 2 for the Habs. Fortunately for Seattle, I think it was the first one. First one went in from Eberle. Real early on. I'm on ESPN Plus as well. Interesting. Yeah, I've had some. I don't know. I mean, I guess I've had the same thing with YouTube TV, so it's not specific to ESPN. Oh, nice save, Grubauer. Wow. Woo, that was close. Oh, Gordon. Oh, who was that? That was That was Adam Larson trying to do the spinorama shot. He like kind of looks like he's gonna pass it to Gordon, then just spins right around and tries to backhand it in. Couldn't quite get it there, but Grubauer with an incredible save there. That was like a 2-on-1 right in front of the net, and Grubauer was able to get his toe back over just in time to. Oh! Dunn almost gets another one. They're definitely starting to get more into it. Oh, Tanev getting a little feisty there. Oh, Tanev's getting back. You didn't. Yeah, you're not gonna get the best of Tanev too often. Not just the average guy, anyway. There's definitely some of the bigger players that might be able to get the better of Tanev, but a lot of those guys the Kraken end up taking the expansion draft anyway. So this is starting to look a lot better. The Kraken are a lot more control than they looked early on. Obviously, even outside of that one goal was kind of like after that happened, they kind of that was the first big chance they got, and it starting to get some of that back after the early success. Woo, that was close to being a breakaway. If Caulfield gets a hold of that, Caulfield almost just stole that and ran with it. It's like the hockey version of a pick six Caulfield almost just had there. Oh, Eberle just waited too long. I think Eberle might have had a chance there. He just waited a little too long with it. Tried to get a little too cute. Oh, come on. I don't know. If Eberle like shoot. Oh, here he's again. Oh, yeah, that's one he's gonna save more often than not. Eberle trying to. He got his first taste of blood for the season. Now Eberle wants to be the first Kraken to get a hat trick in franchise history. That's one of the big firsts we're still waiting on. Obviously, still the first home win. We're looking for that as well. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, seemed random. Eberle hat trick. It seems like he's trying for it. He's gotten a couple of opportunities. I feel like he had a shot there on the one where he kind of just held it and then got it got it poked away by the Habs defense. But a couple of shots early from him. First one went in, so Nate, no, I'm okay. Trying to, I don't know if Riley, if you're dual streaming some wrestling and Kraken at the same time. Well, we'll get our first commercial break. Good look. Kraken looking good early on here. Lots of offensive zone time. See how the natural. So I got natural stat trick pulled up here. It's one of my personal favorite kind of in-game stat sites to go to. See if we can transition to that real quick. There we go. I think, yeah. So you got kind of some of the stuff going on there. So on the top, that's the 5-on-5 Corsi graph, obviously looking slowly going in Seattle's favor as the game goes on here. Goal early on after a couple of chances, and here we are. Pretty good. I would say both teams playing pretty good defensively. Couple things led up here and there, but I'll transition back. Let me get back to the. There we go. Helps me out. You're watching the Vegas versus Colorado game, hoping Vegas wins. I gotta say, as not just a Kraken fan, but also a used to be shot from Fleury. But as a used to be Avalanche fan as well, I'm definitely hoping the Avs can pull that one out. But let's see how that one's going. Pull it up here. Still Vegas is up 2-1 on the Avs with 9 minutes left in the third, so it's a close one. Vegas was up 2-0, so showing the face-offs there. So Habs have won 4 face-offs, I guess 5 face-offs now to Seattle's 2. That was something that like the Kraken were doing really well in the first couple of games, even in the Vegas game, Nashville, and then Columbus, but I feel like ever since the Philly game, they've not looked good in the face-offs, which can be really important. So hopefully they can get those face-off struggles. Ah. Well, that's a clumsy play. That is. Let's see what happened there. That was just puck bouncing around in front of the net and. See. Oh, yep, that's a high stick. Well, that's about as bad as a series can go. Series of events can go. Well, that was a quick review. So do we have double minor or just a single minor? What are we doing here? He's got 2 fingers held up. That either means a 2-minute minor or a double minor. Either way, they're going on the penalty kill right after giving up a sloppy defense. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it just kind of takes a weird bounce and so that's of course the puck like bounces right to a Hab stick. Unfortunate. Yeah, it's true. Seattle's still looking for their first shorthanded goal. That's what they're looking for here. So, maybe it'll happen. Oh, no. I didn't see that guy there. Ooh, that was dangerous. That away Grubauer. Well, they're definitely Habs able to get set up there and get a couple shots off. Kraken finally able to clear it out, and here come the Habs again. Oh, that was Caulfield to Suzuki. That was. Oh, here we go. Who's this? That's Tanev on the forecheck. Oh no, don't have 2 guys. Ooh. That like aggressive two man forecheck is feels real dangerous when they're on the penalty kill. Just like get set up defensively. Here we go. Tanev will shoot it back down. That's excellent. There we go. Get that killed off. Let's get back to 5-on-5. Shots on goal now 8-7 for the Habs. Yeah, Gord might have wanted to just hang on to that. Power play was ending. So that's one of the like that weird. So the weird bounce off the boards that I don't know if that was. Here we go. Bit of a breakaway. 3-on-2. So I don't know if going back to the Habs goal there to even things up. I don't know if that was. I don't know if that bounced off the boards or if that was just the stick battle and it came off there. But that's one of the things that like you wouldn't really think about. But players, once they've played enough in an arena, they definitely get used to the way the puck bounces because it does bounce off boards differently in different arenas, and they'll get used to how that happens in their own arena and kind of where some of those weird bounces can come from. And obviously, this being the second game that anybody's played in this arena, that's the Seattle players are as new to this arena pretty much as the Habs are, so could be that was just a no one weird bounce that no one saw coming, and unfortunately finds a couple of Habs sticks before it can find a Seattle defensive stick. Haha. Autocorrect Habs to haha. New to hockey, I'm from Kansas, but got fam in Puyallup, so finally got a team to support. Love to hear it. Good team to support. Yeah, not a lot of. I don't know what the hockey scene's like in Kansas. I mean, it's flat enough over there. I don't know how cold you get during the winter, but yeah, good to finally have a team of our own. Like I said, I've said earlier, I've was an Avalanche fan for a while, but I would say definitely on the casual side of being an Avalanche fan, just because it's hard to follow a team that's even in the street like this day and age of all the streaming availability. It's hard to follow a team that isn't local, especially if you're used to following local teams. Like, I've been diehard following the Mariners and Seahawks for my whole life, so it's kind of hard to go from like that tons of local coverage and all that, and easy to when I had cable growing up, easy to access games, to not having as much access to anything like that. But now that Seattle's a hockey team, it's all jump in with both feet for sure. Um, what is it like to be a dad? Tiring. Great though. Absolutely very rewarding. Very tiring right now though. Oh, come on. Gio from the same point he scored in the Vancouver game but does not go in. All right, good block by who was that? McCann. Oh, dump off. Oh, it's in. Was that Alexiak to Tanev? Does that Tanev put it in? What a pass from Alexiak. Oh my goodness. Tanev scores again. That's his fourth goal in 7 games now. Look at this. This is drop to Alexiak. Okay, yeah, so McCann just drops it to Alexiak passing by. Oh, beautiful from Tanev. Just finds that hole between the pad and the glove. Beautiful. See, And that's kind of like the one thing that I feel like that's the one thing the Kraken offense has really been lacking with the chances they've been getting is not they've not had much of a net front presence. They've really been lacking like having a hard time getting a guy to stick in front of the net. But Tanev able to skate right up in there, and Alexiak just kind of ramps it off his stick and into the net. Beautiful. Let's go. Let's go. Get that lead back. I'm tired of Kraken winning the period in possession, but coming out on the back end of the points or tied in points. There you go. So Gord covering that defensive spot up in the corner. Oh no. So they kind of get a rolling change going there. And that was icing, so we'll go back to the offensive zone. Let's go, Tanev. Tanev is the actual captain. Well, there's a little bit more to being the captain than just being the best player. I mean, some teams don't necessarily treat it that way. Like, I know there's questions about like McDavid when he first got captain. Obviously, easily the best player on the team, but was he like the leader of the team when he got it? He's kind of, you could argue that he's grown into that role. Some people still say that he's not enough of a leader, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not enough of an Oilers fan to say one way or another. He's obviously the best player, but the captain role is as well the leader, not just the best player. Kind of like the Leafs. Like Matthews isn't the captain of the Leafs because he's the best player, but he's not their like locker room leader kind of guy. It's not like football where just that, like, you know, you're the quarterback, so you're the captain kind of thing. Everyone was hating on the Tanev pick. I liked the Tanev pick personally. I don't know. It wasn't like, I think it was Teddy Bluger was the one that I was kind of hoping they would take from there, just as like a good one of the younger players. But Tanev is obviously, they saw something in Tanev like as a guy that could do a lot with more of a role, and he's been able to make it happen. So, and they were definitely, you could tell they were definitely looking for the offensive or the defensively minded forwards, and Tanev definitely fits that with his, you know, plays very physically and turned out to be a lot of points from him, which is, you know, not necessarily why I think they picked him, but whoa! Oh, the Kraken almost got some big puck luck there. That was just a bouncy ball going through the zone there. Tanev is the heartbeat of the team. Hard to disagree with that. He's definitely the energy guy. Him and like Gord definitely. I would say as soon as Gord came into like, once Gord got in the lineup in that New Jersey game, you could definitely tell there was a lot more energy. Oh, just hop, skipping, jumping through. I don't know how Gallagher doesn't have like holes in him. He's not a big man, but he uses his body as much as he can. We got is a cross. Oh, looks like Seattle going to the power play at the end of this first period here. Interference. Okay, interference on Drouin. Were they saying? There's interference on somebody on Montreal. So Kraken will finish off the period and start the second on the power play. Unless, of course, they score, then they won't start the second on the power play. But we're back up. Seattle back in the lead, 2-1. Started off the game with a shot from Eberle. First shot goes in. His first of the season, first with the Kraken after having Just game after game being robbed in front of the net. He finally gets one in. And then Tanev in front of the net this time. Beautiful pass from Alexiak along the line. Just ramps right off Tanev's stick and over the pad and into the net. 2-1 Kraken. And they've definitely looked like the better team in this period. So it's nice that we're not going into the we won't be going into the intermission, unless they give up a shorthanded goal, they won't be going into the intermission tied or behind after having won the possession and chance battles. Glad Eberle finally got his goal. Yeah, good for him. You could tell after the one in New Jersey, especially the one in New Jersey, but even I think the one in Philadelphia, that was the Carter Hart made the incredible save, and that was kind of midway through that first period. And then as soon as Hart made that save on Eberle, everything just went downhill fast for Seattle. But you could tell on that one, and then the one that he had in New Jersey, that he was just kind of like rolling his eyes, like, what do I have to do to get a goal? But finally gets on the board. Yep, Jonathan Drouin in the box. And the Kraken go to the power play. Let's see if we can't make it 3-1, huh? Let's get into the break with 3 goals in the first period. Oh, Giordano's stick shattered on him. I also just realized this is the first time including the preseason stream that I did of that game in Edmonton. This is the first time the Kraken have actually led in a game that I was streaming for. So there you go. All sorts of important firsts for Seattle, right? Is a win in hockey worth 2 points and overtime loss worth 1? Yep, you got it. Yeah, so it's the standings are determined by points rather than record. I mean, the points are based off of the record, so it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, it's based off of points where, just like you said, 2 points for a win, 1 point for a loss in overtime. And a win in overtime is still a win, you get 2 points. It's just 1 bonus point gets handed out to the losing team if you go to overtime or shootout. Do you think Seattle should have taken Tarasenko from St. Louis? Was it salary cap reasons? Yeah, it was salary cap reasons. Tarasenko's contract is, I want to say, like $7.5 million for like 3 or 4 more years, and they definitely wanted salary cap space to play with in the coming into the season, as well as during free agency, which some of that salary cap went to Grubauer. So if they might still get Grubauer. They probably still get Grubauer even if they get Tarasenko, but they might not, because they got Schwartz as well. They got who's the other one they signed then? Forget, I'm spacing on who. Oh, Wimberg was the other one they signed. So big shorthand save from Grubauer. What's happening now? Oh, puck out of play. So they might not get Schwartz or Wenberg if they take Tarasenko, and Tarasenko's better than either of those guys probably, but he's also worth a lot more money-wise on the contract. So it's just more control over the contract. They also coming into the season with space, and I think they probably do go Tarasenko if there isn't a guy like Vince Dunn available for them. Vince Dunn's the guy they end up taking from St. Louis, and if there isn't a guy that's a good young defenseman with a ton of future upside as an alternative to Tarasenko, then maybe they do take him. If it's a team like Dallas that doesn't have as much of much young options to choose from, then they probably would have gone with him. But they had a cheaper, young, talented option in Dunn, as well as there's also Sammy Blais at the time that would have been a forward, kind of similar, young, inexpensive talented option on the forward end. So yeah, it just came down to other options and the contract that Tarasenko's on. Obviously, Tarasenko's off to a great start so far this season, so it's easy to be like, well, Seattle's not scoring goals, and if they had Tarasenko, but you know, doesn't always necessarily work that way. He might not be doing the same in a Seattle system as he is with St. Louis right now, and who knows if this quick start to his season there changes his mind about wanting to be traded, but we'll see. You think you should get 3 points for a win, 2 for a win in overtime, 1 in shootout? No, honestly, I think they should just do away with the point system and go to just you win or you lose, what regardless of when it is. Maybe you could. I don't know. The thing is, like, it's just weird. Like, it's just kind of weird to have hockey as the one sport where if you lose at a certain time, then it's a good thing or it's not as bad of a thing. It's almost like that the 1 point's kind of seen as the people that aren't as big a fan of it see as like the participation trophy point. But I don't know. I don't hate it. If I had to pick a system, I would say just go to just straight up you win or you lose. And obviously there's the shootout. People kind of don't like the shootout as much because it's not actually hockey, but no overtime system is perfect. Obviously, like, you can't all be baseball and just keep playing. You can't you can't all be the MLB and just keep playing infinitely until the game ends during a regular season, at least. Obviously in the playoffs, that's what they do. They just do, you play as many overtime periods as you need until someone wins. But you can't really sustain that over a full, especially 82 game season of hockey. There's no way to sustain that. So they got to do something. And it's not like the NBA where, there's very little chance it's going to keep staying tied forever. It would be nice for the Kraken to get a bigger name guy, more of a franchise player. Thought they'd go bigger in free agency with all the cap space. Yeah, there really weren't a ton of like big names in free agency. The biggest name in free agency was, and actually, did he even get to free agency? Yeah, the biggest name in free agency was probably Dougie Hamilton, but he got scooped up pretty quick and might have already had that deal in place before the expansion draft. Yeah, I mean, there weren't any I guess you could say, technically speaking, Ovechkin was a free agent, but it wasn't even a secret at all that he was going to sign as soon as the expansion draft was done. They were going to announce that he had signed back with the Caps. So yeah, there really weren't any huge big name free agents that were actually going to be changing teams. This next year, that might be changing. Yeah, Hamilton would have been really nice. Yeah, and I think they probably did try it. They probably took a pass at Hamilton, I'm sure. Sure they made some offers and stuff, but I mean, New Jersey, they weren't the only team that had cap space. They certainly had among the most to play with, but they're not the only ones that can afford to take a good run at a guy like Hamilton. And maybe they just decided that they're going to have young guys to sign eventually, and they might want to pick up a contract via trade during the season if things go well. So it doesn't hurt having cap space during the season as well. And I mean, Grubauer was a Vezina finalist, so he's not one of the biggest names as far as goaltending goes, but he's on his way there if he can keep playing like he did last year for Colorado. Yeah, I guess they don't really have. Giordano's probably their big name guy. I mean, he's I would say probably Hall of Fame. Yeah, I don't know. Probably Hall of Fame, but definitely one of the best Flames of all time. So I would say Giordano's probably a big name guy coming towards the end of his career. Had a good long career in the NHL so far. And that's a guy who, he does have a big contract and he's an older player, but it's only 1 year. So if things don't work out with Giordano this year, then they can move on from his contract or sign him to a smaller one if he wants to play a couple more years on a lesser deal. He might be able to get some guys when Toronto does their teardown later this year. Yeah, the way their season's gotten off to, it seems like they might be due for a bit of a reset, but I don't know. That team's still so talented, and their talent is young too, with Matthews and Marner. So it it feels like obviously their season not a great start, and because they're the Leafs, it gets overanalyzed. It's like the Cowboys in the NFL. Like anything that they do is going to get overanalyzed, and nothing they do can be neutral. It has to either be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. So I think there's a little bit of panic going on. And maybe if by mid-season things are still like they're still not in a playoff spot by like getting towards the trade deadline, then maybe they do start trying to make some moves. But it would be guys like Morgan Riley or someone like that. It's not, they're not gonna, I can't imagine they move Matthews or Marner. Maybe Marner, but even then, I don't think there's a situation where they move Marner and get value from him, because he's still such a good player, and he's on such a big like he's such a good player that they would want to get a lot for him, but his contract is so big that there's no way, if he's on a trade block, that teams are going to be willing to pay what he's worth. So, and by that I mean like pay via trade what he would be worth, should be worth in a trade. So yeah, Morgan Riley would be the first to go. I agree. So let's see what else do we got going on here in the first intermission here. Get Matthews. Yeah, I don't think Matthews is leaving Toronto. If Matthews does, it'll probably be on his own terms, and maybe, I mean, I don't know how he feels about it, but everyone keeps thinking that he would go to Arizona and be like the savior of the Coyotes, go home to where he grew up and the team he cheered for growing up. Which, yes, go figure, one of the best players in the game right now grew up cheering for the Coyotes. But you know, that's like, Matthews is also kind of like, even while he's playing for Toronto, he's kind of one of the like the biggest art. He's kind of saving the Coyotes, is one of the biggest arguments the Coyotes have for like staying in Arizona, is just, hey, if the Coyotes didn't exist and we had moved them the first time they sucked, then Matthews maybe never sees hockey, falls in love with it, and he isn't playing for the Leafs. So that's, even though he's playing for the Leafs and not for Arizona, he kind of is already helping save that franchise from moving. To be honest, I think Matthews is soft from a mental standpoint. I don't know. I think he's just quiet. Like, I don't think, just because he's not super outspoken, I don't know. I think I don't see any big issues with him. That team definitely does have an energy issue. I think they do lack, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like they just kind of lack energy. It just seems like they lack energy in their games, is the biggest problem, which I don't know how you fix that. You need to figure out some guys that'll kind of come in and jumpstart that team energy wise. It seems like they're still, even though they said they've moved on, it seems like the last season is still kind of like looming in that locker room, and like the pressure of having a good enough season to make something happen in the off season. And maybe some of the, like, we don't even care how the regular season goes, let's just get to the off season, or the postseason, I mean. Get to the off season. That's what they do in the playoffs. But mental health is no joke. I mean, absolutely not. I don't know where that came from, but trying to keep up here. But yeah, Spezza's probably their energy guy, but I don't know. Morgan Riley's a free agent next year. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Morgan Riley re-signs unless maybe they, like, if they win a cup, maybe he re-signs there. But I feel like, especially if their season doesn't go well, or they have another first round or even second round exit, they probably move on from Morgan Riley by just not signing him. The question is, if things go so bad that they start, like, if they're a seller at the trade deadline, then maybe they trade Morgan Riley to a team that's buying at the deadline. try and get some value for him before he walks in free agency at the end of the year anyway. Nylander next with 2 years left on his contract. Oh, mental. Oh, I see, I see, I see. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with Matthews. With what other deep man? Toronto can't afford him. There's been some. I think you're talking about Morgan Riley there. There's been some talk that Morgan Riley, because I think he grew up a Leafs fan as well. I think there's been some talk that he might want a hometown, might do a hometown discount kind of thing. But yeah, maybe they can't afford him, and maybe they don't even try. Especially, yeah, if things don't go differently this season for them in a positive way, and that includes the postseason, obviously, then they're not going to be too eager, I think, to keep a massive chunk of that same core that hasn't been getting it done the same. They're going to have to make some big changes, and that doesn't necessarily mean Matthews or Marner, but stuff around them is going to have to change in a pretty big way. So, yeah. 1 second here. I'm going to. Let's look at how things are going stat wise here. So here's the looking at the kind of the stats here, the Corsi stuff. See, the Kraken definitely. It's kind of weird because I feel like they were doing really good early on in the first period of keeping those, keeping the possession, but apparently in the second period is when second period is kind of when that switched around, and then this is just 5-on-5. So if we switch it to all, see where it. Of course, he's a little weird sometimes. I don't know. And we look at the chances down here. See, not a lot of attempts for the Canadiens, but it's pretty in the middle where you don't really want it. And outside of Tanev's goal up against the net, the Canadiens have actually been keeping a lot of the Kraken chances away from kind of towards the back of the zone, which is definitely where you want to be keeping chances too. Obviously, with the great shot, Eberle makes one of those work and turns it into a goal anyway, but oh shoot, I have the score wrong. Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, I see, I have them on the wrong sides. Whoops. Well, I'll have to fix that here in a second. We'll transition back. My bad. I had the I have it just like copied over from, I don't know if any of you guys have ever used OBS. I just copied over from one side to the other. And I flip-flopped them on accident. So let's see if I can. Trying to work on fixing this so when we switch over there, the score looks correct. Nope. Oh gosh. There we go. Come on. Let's get this fixed. There we go. There we go. All fixed. We'll be good to go next time. Next time we switch over to see what's going on. 2-1, stop the count. That's right. Oh, there we go. So they're showing it on the Seattle broadcast right now. They've got some of the Metropolitans items, like some old relics back then, some skates, couple jerseys, it looks like. 100-year-old skates, 100-year-old jerseys set up at the stadium from back when they won the Stanley Cup. So they're oh, here we go. So they're showing kind of the numbers here. Kraken with 12 shots to Canadiens 9. Power plays, Kraken are 0 for 1. They still have a little bit left on that one, but I mean, probably isn't going to change. And Canadiens 0 for 2 on the power play. Hits, about even. Kraken 13 to Habs 11. Oh, here we go. Yeah, they're talking about there's four teams that are at least 5-0 in the NHL for the first time ever at the start of a season. Goodness. McDavid with 13 points in 5 games. It's ridiculous. I'm not looking forward to playing McDavid. I mean, like, from the aspect of getting to watch him, it'll be fun to go to a game against the Oilers just to watch McDavid, but I don't like that he's going to be playing against my team. Are we taking credit for that cap win? I mean, or cup win? It's a Seattle Cup win. They have the banner is Seattle Metropolitans, so I think it's just like the city history more than team history. Um, but I mean it's been a part of the city's history for 104 years now, so they might as well, now that there's a NHL team, show the city's history. I don't know if there's anybody that's been to a Canucks game, if the Canucks, because the Millionaires of the same PCHA, the Millionaires won a Stanley Cup as well. So I don't know if the Canucks have a Millionaires banner, but I don't see why not, right? It's a Stanley Cup that the city won, and it's not like they're putting like Seattle Kraken. They didn't have any Kraken colors or name on it at all. It was fully Seattle Metropolitans. Like, I didn't know if the old Metropolitans became a different team. No, they did not. A bunch of their players went to play for the Chicago Blackhawks, but it wasn't like it wasn't when franchises moved around, or like, oh, Eberle almost puts it. Oh, Eberle almost got another one. He got robbed in front of the net, so it's not over yet. Not over yet for Eberle. Um, but yeah, I mean, this was still like the early days of pro sports, so it wasn't necessarily as smooth and clear cut as um, like the Rams moving from St. Louis to L.A. It wasn't as clear cut as just like, oh yeah, this team was there and now they're here. Same franchise, so it was, and because it was a different league, so the PCHA folded, and then those players are still professional hockey players, and that most of them, especially the best ones, went to the NHL, and a lot of this Kraken players went to go play for the Blackhawks, who were the Blackhawks were also the westernmost team at the time, and that was back when a lot of players would kind of play with whatever team was close to where they were from. And not that Seattle had a bunch of players from Seattle, but from that general area maybe. And some of their players most of their guys were Canadian, but from across the border. And obviously there wasn't a Western Canadian team until the Canucks in 1970. So, but yeah, it wasn't a direct 1-to-1. I think there was another team. I think it was either the Victoria Cougars or maybe Portland Rosebuds that also had a bunch of players go play for the Blackhawks, but yeah, they didn't become another franchise anyway. Looking good here early for Seattle to start off the second. Eberle got a big chance in front of the net, but couldn't get that one to go. Good save. So Seattle icing there, so they're gonna have to keep their guys out. Gallagher, I don't know if he took a puck or a hit, but he's down again. There we go. See if the Kraken can. There we go. Now they'll start to try and get some of the guys changed out. And that'll be icing on the Habs. So now the Kraken can get a free full change, and the Habs have to keep their guys out. Is it a little like pro football in the early 20s or 40s? Is it just kind of a mess with teams coming and leaving? But Seattle back then was never an NHL team. Not really. It wasn't. I mean, I guess maybe in like the 19 teens, tens a little bit. But it was more like, so the early NHL was the NHA originally is what they were called at the time, and they were only in the East Coast, Northeast area. Most teams were Canadian for the start of it. And then the PCHA was actually a couple of like players from the NHL or NHA at the time. A couple of the players that had a bunch of family money, and they were like, well, we want to move back west where our family is, but we still want to play hockey, and there's no teams over there, so we're just going to start our own pro league. So they went over and started their own pro league, the PCHA, and stole a bunch of players from the NHA, and then eventually started competing for the Stanley Cup, start winning the Stanley Cup a couple of times. Vancouver Millionaires won it first, then Seattle Metropolitans became the first, U.S. based team to win the cup. But the NHA actually stayed, and then NHA became the NHL, stayed pretty solid. I mean, compared to like you're talking about the early NFL, it was not nearly that chaotic. It was still some teams going and leaving, but by 1926 you have the start of the original six era, and from then until 67 it was the same six teams with no one leaving or coming in. So a lot more stable, just more like other. It was a lot more that there was a lot of other leagues that were also competing for the Stanley Cup with the NHL or NHA, more than it was like a bunch of teams coming and leaving constantly. A little bit of chaos around like World War II era when some teams had to fold because of the Great Depression, World War One, that would have been, I don't know. My non-sports history is not as strong as my sports history knowledge. Yeah, Habs always confuses me. You can't spell Habs with either Montreal Canadiens or Canadians is misspelled. Yeah, Habs is oh shoot, what is it? It's short. It's a shortened version of like basically the French word for habitants, I think, or something like that. Which is it's pretty close. Um, because the Canadiens started as basically a pro hockey team to represent French Canadians, because like pro hockey started in Montreal, but there wasn't like a team. All the teams were English based players, or a lot of like English base behind them, and French Canadians were, you know, kind of feeling left out and not represented. So the league was like, well, let's just have a French Canadian team then, and that's where the Habs came from. And so then the Habitants or something like that. I can't. It's it's whatever like French for habitants is. I can't remember, but it's just shortened for that. So it actually has nothing to do with the name Canadiens or Montreal. It's a different word from their history. Good save from Grubauer there, but it's a shot from the top. That's where you want to keep their shots too. Not a lot going in. Game's kind of back and forth. Not a lot of momentum swings so far. Seattle Still getting some time in the offensive zone, but Habitants is okay. Habitants is French. I'm sure it's pronounced differently. They don't like T's, but I don't know. Okay, there you go. I'll. So that's what it is then. And goes into the screen. This is kind of a weird start to the second period. It's just kind of like not a lot of momentum getting started either way. See, the Kraken do gotta figure out how to start winning some faceoffs though. There we go. Right as I say that, they win one. That's the like. That's why faceoff percentage and winning faceoffs is so important because the Kraken are stuck in their defensive zone. They win the faceoff and are able to immediately get to the other end of the ice. Oh, nice pickup by Fleury there. Donato's gonna dump it in. Ugh. Habs just dumping it in. Here we go. Tanev with the puck. Pass it back. Who would you got? Looks like Alexiak. Alexiak definitely stands out, like a head taller than everyone else. Maybe if Chara is in the lineup when they eventually play the Islanders, then he'll have somebody his height to see eye to eye with. There we go. Grubauer, nice save. Oh, that was a good work by Caulfield. Oh, where's the rebound? There we go. Tanev's going to get it out. Nope, not out. Keeping it in the zone. It's not getting out of the defensive zone, but Habs not really getting a ton of chances out of this either. All right, Appleton gets it. Oh, no. Bounce off Tanev's stick. There we go. There we go. There we go. Get out of the zone. All right, cool. Got out of the zone. Get a change. That's what you needed there. That's the one thing. Even though the Habs weren't getting a lot of. Oh, here we go. Oh, what a goal! Woo, Yanni Gord. That's the kind of thing we were not. Yanni Gord might be the only guy that pulls that off on the Kraken. He's just looking for the pass, and whoop, whoop, right around. Here you go. They're showing the replay of it. It's just he's all alone. Got one guy, and then whoop. So I don't know who that was defensively. 71, 77. I don't know who that is for Montreal, but he's trying to take away the pass. Like Gord's looking for the pass, but he's taking the pass away, and Gord's just like, all right, I'll do it myself then. Just dekes Allen and puts it in. All right. Yeah, he looked for the pass all the way up until he didn't have any choice but to do it himself, and quick little deke or juke puts it in. Let's go. 3-1. Gotta remember to change the score here. And if I'm not mistaken, the first time the Kraken have a multi-goal lead. Oh, Donskoy in front of the net almost gets it in. And they got Donskoy and Eberle, or is that Eberle? I think that's Eberle. Both of them right in front of the net. So it's like, again, we were talking about in the first period, they just had no net front presence for the road trip. And really even the Vancouver game, they had a little bit, it was a little bit better, but not, it still needed improvement. Definitely looking better in front of the net as far as that goes this game. Oh, good defensive play there by the Habs. Yeah, Schwartz all could have had a chance there, but the Habs defended that pretty well. Oh, big hit. Who was that? Schwartz lays a big hit, gets the turnover, and it's Gord with it again. Schwartz. Oh, Dunn fans on it. Oh no! What a chance. Oh, a couple of just mishandles. Like Schwartz couldn't quite get a handle on it, and then Dunn couldn't get the shot off. Gallagher is such a cheeky little player. I like Gallagher. He's kind of like he's definitely a little bit of a rat, but oh, it's it again! Tanev! How did Tanev get left so alone? All right, maybe Tanev will get the first hat trick. Tanev just got behind. He's just cherry picking back here, and then Gord finds him. Yeah, Tanev just waits to get it. Like Gord takes in the offensive zone, and Tanev just got past the defense. Petrie just let Tanev get past him. He's just all alone. Gord gets it on his stick and he puts it in. Let's go! Sorry if that clap was loud, but we're getting excited. Hopefully none of you have earbuds in or anything like that. Don't want to be deafening you guys because I'm not good with subtitles. Tanev, my number one boy. I want his jersey first. Yeah, I gotta say, I still have to get the road jersey, and I was definitely leaning towards getting Donskoy just because he's got some soft hands and he's from Colorado, from the Avalanche was their pick, but actually, yeah. But yeah, either Gord or Tanev. It's hard, man. It's hard not to want one of them right now. One of their jerseys, maybe both. Who knows? Get one now, and then if the Kraken pull out a third jersey next year, or like a stadium series or something, then get the other then. We'll have to think if there's any Penguins fans, we'll have to thank the Penguins for the Seattle essentially got Tanev and McCann from Pittsburgh in the expansion draft. Because they got Tanev from Pittsburgh, and then they got McCann from Toronto, who the Leafs basically traded for him from Pittsburgh as expansion bait. So, and it was who was it? They traded like a B-level prospect and a third-round pick to get McCann. So, essentially, Pittsburgh got like a A- B-level prospect and a third-round pick to lose both McCann and Tanev in the expansion draft. I want to get Dunn. Yeah, Dunn's having a good start as well. I like Dunn a lot. I think especially if you're like a old Blues fan, if you're have been a Blues fan or something, get Dunn for sure. Grubauer all the way. Yeah, if you love goaltenders, Grubauer's the one. I will say, like, I mean, we've only seen half a game of Drieger so far. So he played the second half of the Philly game after Grubauer got pulled and then got injured somehow. I still don't even know what that injury was, but they just kind of like at some point they're just like, oh, and by the way, Drieger's on the IR, so we're pulling up Decord for the New Jersey game. And Decord looked really good in the New Jersey game. That was not on Decord at all. But yeah, they got good goaltending so far. I think the goaltending's like obviously there's some you want back, and that's going to happen to anybody. Like even Vasilevsky, who's been the best goaltender for 3 years in the league, even he like started the first goal of the season. He looked really bad. He like went behind the net, mishandled a puck, and then it was an empty net goal for Pittsburgh. So even the best goalie in the league makes has some ones that you'd want back. Man, let's go 4-1. First time the Kraken have scored 4 goals without an empty net. Obviously, they had four in Nashville, but the fourth one was also Tanev, but on an empty net. So Tanev up to 5 goals on the season in 7 games now, or I guess 6.5 games. Oh, don't forget to change the period. Thank you. I don't have that. See, I have that on a different screen. I have to change it somewhere else, so I keep forgetting. So thanks for the reminder. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on, we're working on it. We just had such an exciting end to the first period that I just forgot we were already in the second. You know, it happens. Happened in the first. You know, we'll figure it out eventually. Oh wait, no. We don't want to do that. Hold on, we're getting there. There we go. Now we should be good. Now we should be good. There we go. Second period figured out. Ooh, Tanev looking for that hat trick. First hat trick in Kraken history. Fleury gets it right into the chest of Jake Allen. Getting our look at Jake Allen, the guy that a lot of people thought was going to be the pick for the Kraken from, like, I should say early on. Obviously, they end up protecting Allen and exposing Carey Price, but I know, like, when I was putting together that series on the expansion draft, the goaltending seemed like the most straightforward. They were going to have Allen and then Aiden Hill from Arizona, but then Arizona trades Aiden Hill, and coming off of the Cinderella Stanley Cup run on the back of Carey Price, Montreal exposes Carey Price. So then neither one of them was even available. But I think we're happy with what we ended up with in goal. Got Drieger as a UFA from the expansion draft, and then Grubauer as a UFA from free agency. Oh no, 2-on-1. This is not what you want. Nice! I think he missed, but Grubauer was there. Yeah, see, that's the kind of breakaway chance you really don't want to see too often. And it has been looking better. The Vegas game, we saw quite a bit of odd man breaks like that. A lot of like 3-on-2 breaks, but that was one thing that definitely got better up until the Philly game was just a mess in every way, but they've been definitely getting better at that, being more defensively responsible. But still a couple of big defensive kind of miscues in every game. That was definitely one there, but fortunately it does not translate into a goal. And fortunately, for the first time, the Kraken actually have a buffer in points, so if something happens, they first multi-goal lead in franchise history, and obviously first 3-goal lead in franchise history. Tanev the GOAT. Let's see how things are going around the league here. Ah, dang it. So Vegas ended up pulling that one out. That's unfortunate. Sorry, Riley. I know you're pulling for Vegas, but can't say I am as well. Trying to eat a little dinner as well, but not don't even have you guys watching me eat. And I'm sure you don't want that. But all right, the wild up on the Canucks. That's what we like to see. Sorry if any of you are Canucks fans, but for the Kraken's purposes, we're gonna need them to lose some games. I like that little like compliment jab. Canadiens, the last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup, and ooh, who was that geeky that just got laid out? I don't know what happened to Geeky. He kind of just like fell off the face of the earth a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he's just not. He's kind of gotten relegated, so yeah, I don't know if he's just not getting as much of the ice time, but we just have not seen as much as Geeky as we or as much Geeky as we saw early on. Is that gonna be nope? Donato on the forecheck can't really make anything happen from it, and that'll be icing. No change. So it looks like they're trying to get a change there, but they're not going to get a change because they iced it. Let's go. Hey. There's our color guy scoring on the Habs. That was Carey Price, obviously though, not Jake Allen. Probably wasn't playing at the time, or at least not in the NHL. I'm sure he was playing somewhere. I'm gonna check on one other score here, and that is the first game of the World Series. And as I'm sure most of us are glad to see, Atlanta is up 5-1 in the bottom of the fifth. Make sure Houston does not win the World Series. Not saying I'm a massive Braves fan or anything like that, far from it, but sure rather they win than the Astros. So, Philly game was horrible. Yes, it was. I just noticed Alexiak is tall. Yeah, if you see like a picture from the expansion draft, he was one of the I think 6 guys that they had at the expansion draft event in Seattle, and they have a picture of the 6 guys there, and he is like a head taller than all of them at least. He's I think he's like 6'7" or something like that. He's a tall man. Okay, so now they got Alexiak and Giordano out there at the same time. Go Atlanta, boo cheat stros. I agree. All right, crack into the power play on a hooking for Petrie. Well, this is definitely the Habs that we saw in the first 5 games of the season, not the Habs that got their first win against Detroit. No, we had a multi-goal lead against Nashville. Oh, you're right. Yeah, they did. So, first 3-goal lead in franchise history, not first multi-goal lead. It is the first multi-goal lead in the second period of a game. So, wasn't all wrong. First multi-goal lead without an empty net goal. But yeah, first we'll just stick with first 3-goal lead in franchise history. See if we can't get the first five goal game in franchise history as well. Just all sorts of firsts. Maybe it'll be Tanev again. We can get the hat trick. Maybe he'll get an empty netter. All sorts of options. Tanev did get that first and so far only empty netter in franchise history to make it 4-2 against Nashville before they eventually got one back. So maybe he'll get the second one and make it a hat trick. Wife and baby coming in to, I assume, giving some Kraken rum. Got some Kraken rum here. I also have a beer that I pulled out of the fridge and completely forgot about until just now. It's not any, I don't even actually know what it is. It's a Jack Pale Ale from Windmer Brothers Brewing. Got like a variety pack of like 24 different beers, so just kind of try all sorts of different things. Still looking for some Sky Kraken, although I think that's one that they sell a lot more in the summer, unfortunately, because it is, I mean, it's a pale ale, so it's not like as wintry of a beer. Not a beer that they made with any knowledge that a team in Seattle was going to be called the Kraken at some point in time, because it's been around for a lot longer than Seattle Kraken have been. But drink some rum here. Speaking of, the power play looked really good. The power play was like the one bright spot pretty much throughout the road trip, especially in the Nashville game. But they really have had trouble, I would say. Well, again, I guess the Philly game kind of not so much. But yeah, ever since the Columbus game, their power play has kind of struggled after getting a good start to the season. Well, I'm really glad they didn't see Petrie coming out of the box, because that was a 2-on-1, but he just took the shot. I don't think anyone saw Petrie there. If he sees Petrie, then hits 20. They have the hits at 25-18 in Seattle's favor. Definitely a physical team, which we kind of figured they were going to be after the expansion draft, and kind of before it as well. Like, if you're not going to get the top-end talent, then you get some physical guys to try and slow down the top-end talent. Yeah, Tyler Toffoli's pretty good as well. We'll see with Montreal. It's such a weird... Oh! We'll just pretend that was on purpose. Oh! Oh! Lauzon got past one guy, but I think he was a little bit surprised to get past him. He's like, oh, shoot, that puck. That's going to be not. Nope. No icing. Thought they were going to call that icing, but I guess they said he probably had a chance to it. Oh! If that got through, Gallagher was there on the other side. That was a dangerous almost chance for Montreal, but managed to get a defensive stick on it. Seattle at least had a couple guys in front of the net, like between in the passing lane, so it doesn't get to Petrie, or to Gallagher. But if that pass gets to Gallagher, that's gonna be trouble. Ooh. Man, Fleury's just... Oh, Gord almost snuck that in. Fleury's just been taking shots from downtown. Not getting a lot of him on net. He got a couple on net, but... Oh, he almost found Eberle. He was trying to find Eberle there. Oh, if that connects with Eberle's stick, that's in. Back in the defensive zone, done up the boards. Turns it over. Oh, here we go. Back on it. Who is this? Schwartz. Dumps in. Wenberg. They're getting a change. So this is the second line, third line coming out. Oh! Giordano is trying to take heads off with some shots. Got blocked. Shots on goal. Seattle with 19. Habs have 17 at this point in the game. There we go. No, kind of dumps it in. I feel like Donskoy probably could have carried that in, but that's all right. Get out to Lauzon. Oh, for a second I thought that went in. Oh no! Lauzon loses it. Who's this on a partial break? Oh, all right. Oh, Riley Sheahan. All right. It was like a partial breakaway, and Sheahan caught up to him and then stole the puck from him. Oh no, Appleton's down. Not Apple. Appleton has had such a rough go at the start of this season. This is the first time we've actually like seen someone get injured on the Kraken. Oh, his leg got caught behind him and then landed on. That's not ideal. Appleton is like, that's one of the guys that I'm rooting for so hard this season, but he's just had an unfortunate start, and he's created some good plays, like in the New Jersey game, and then especially in the Canucks game, he looked really good. He's looked really good defensively lately for the Kraken, and then created some chances on the offensive end. He had a beautiful pass in the Vancouver game that Bastian just fanned on. Should have been a goal. And then obviously the one that got through Demko's legs, but Demko was able to like see it get behind him and get his glove on it just before it got across the line. Yeah. Now that Eberle got his goal, like Appleton's kind of the next one that's like had the hard luck start to the season, and looks like that might be continuing. He's holding his knee, which is never actually it's kind of more his ankle or shin maybe, but still you don't really want to see a guy holding his lower leg like that. He definitely looked like he was feeling pretty uncomfortable there. Yeah, and just as he was, I mean, I wouldn't say that like he didn't have a rough start to the season, and that he didn't look bad. He just kind of didn't look good either. He kind of just seemed like almost irrelevant. Like nothing bad. He didn't do anything bad. Didn't really do anything good for the first few games of the season, and during the preseason, he was pretty much invisible. But then, really starting to look good. Oh yeah, he just Appleton's another guy that I kind of wanted. Like I was really hoping that he would, and maybe he still will. I'm like really hoping for him to have a breakout season for the Kraken and just go crazy. Because I'd love to get his jersey, but I don't want to get a jersey for a guy that only plays like a. Oh, I saw the net move for a second after that shot, and I thought it went in. Nice stop by Allen. That's a nice save. That's a nice save by Allen there. No look pass from Wemberg right to Gord sitting on the dot on the other side. That's one that's going to go in more often than not, but Allen tracked it well, and nice save. So that's probably the last shot we'll get at the second. Ooh! Shot off the face-off, but it goes wide, and that was from Eberle. That is the end of the second, so we'll go to the third with a 3-goal lead, and we'll see how the Kraken play in this third period. The last 2 times we started the three, I guess it's only been once, but usually if they have a lead in the third period, that means it's turtle time. But it's been a few games since that happened. And I'll say this, if they do go turtle mode, it's at least with a 3-goal lead, and it's not like the worst thing in the world if you have a 3-goal lead. With a 1-goal lead, it's just asking for a tie game, which obviously not what you want. But I'm just going to get this changed over real quick so we don't have the same mistake happen again. There we go. Switched over to the third, and we are back. So the Kraken will get basically a minute and a half of power play to start the third. So that I'm imagining if they do go into turtle mode, it's not going to be right away anyway. All right. Get caught up with the chat here a bit. Boo Cheat Stros, I think that's where I left off. Thing is, Houston had a good team. It's not like where Baltimore trying to get some players cheated off the top of that. They didn't get any suspensions. Yeah, that was kind of like, and it kind of sucked too because that Astros World Series win was right after who was that, Hurricane Harvey, the one that like demolished a bunch of Houston. So it was such a like, I mean, even as a fan of a team in their division, it was such a feel good like World Series of like exactly what the city needed at the time. The Astros winning maybe their first ever World Series, or at least the first one in a long time. I actually can't remember. But right, like as the city's still recovering from Harvey, they win the World Series. It's such a feel good like kind of story, and then to the very next year find out, oh no, yeah, they cheated their way there. It was like, why? They had the talent to do it anyway. Like I don't know. But, you know, they definitely cheated, and then yeah, MLB did their best to like, they handed out like some punishments to like shut people up a little bit, but kind of just swept it under the rug, and no players get suspensions. And then what was it? There was I forget who it was. It was like a reliever for the Dodgers that got suspended for like sticking his tongue out or something at the Astros. Like got suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct, or maybe it was like his shoes that he wore or something. It's like, what? So you're going to suspend this guy for, that was during the COVID season too. So they suspended him for like a third of the COVID season, which was like 20 games. And they didn't suspend a single Astro for cheating during the playoffs and World Series that they won. So I don't know. But checking in on that game, Braves are still up 5-1 in the top of the 8th with runners on first and third and 1 out. So, and so Braves are up with runners on first and third with 1 out, up 5-1. So, looks like game 1 is going to go to the Braves, so that's good. Who do you think will be our highest scorer of the year? Kevin, your guess is as good as mine. Obviously, based on, if you're going to base it on 7 games or 6 games in 2 periods, it's looks like Brandon Tanev. But I think the safe money would be Yanni Gourde. Like even with Tanev's hot start, like Gourde has looked head and shoulders like even in the 3 games, or I guess, you know, almost 3 games now that he's played, he has looked so like by far so much the best offensive player on the team that I can't imagine it being someone else, because this is a whole team of guys that have not had as much ice time as they're going to have with the Kraken and haven't had the same chance they're going to have in Seattle. So, like, there's all sorts of guys that could break out over the course of a season, but yeah, I think Yanni Gourde's the safe money for scoring leader for Seattle. Maybe not goals. He seems to like, I mean, coming from Tampa Bay, you can definitely tell that he's like always looking for the pass first rather than shooting. And there's definitely some guys like I mean, you're not probably not going to have a defenseman be your leading scorer, but like Vince Dunn is going to take shots, and we've seen that like McCann will take shots as well. Um, we haven't really seen it in the regular season because he's been on the like either inactive or on the fourth or maybe sometimes third line. But Donato was like in the preseason, Donato was taking shots whenever the puck came to him. But I still think it's scored probably. Maybe if Eberle can kind of start getting some puck luck, then he could get caught up there because he's definitely had chances to have like 6 goals at this point, but it's just one at the start of this game. Oh, Braves just scored again, so it's 6-1 Braves. Still top of 8. I love Philly. Well, Kraken did them a favor, kind of just handed them a win. So if you like Philly, then Kraken help them out early on. Made Carter Hart look really good as well, which to be fair was like it wasn't like they made Carter Hart look good. He had a couple of spectacular saves in that game, but Hart played well and the Kraken didn't. But Carter Hart played his WHL hockey in Everett, so a little bit of local ties, not too bad. Wish him a speedy recovery. I assume we're talking about Appleton. Hopefully he's not hurt too bad, but it didn't look good. Hockey players are usually pretty tough too, so it's usually if you have a guy that's needing help off the ice like that, it's probably not something he's just gonna pop right back out onto the bench for the third period, but who knows. We gave Yanni the Stamkos rule on the power play. Yeah. Glad Appleton was able to skate off the ice and didn't need. Well, I wouldn't say he skated off the ice. He was definitely being helped, being kind of carried off the ice by Larson and I think it was Donskoy. But it was not under his own power entirely that he got off the ice. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if their next game is Thursday against Minnesota. So if he's back for that one, great. We'll probably know by then one way or another how long he'll be out. So hopefully it's not too long if he is out, and hopefully he's not out at all. We'll see. I can't imagine he returns to this game unless it was just like one of those things that like you get like a kind of a shooting pain and then it kind of goes away and it's fine. But I kind of don't think so the way it looked and he was reacting to it. Let's go Devils. Okay. Kraken only play the Devils one more time, and it will be in Seattle. But yeah, unfortunately, the Kraken got the Devils at probably the worst possible time in the 5th game of a road trip, and the 2nd game of it was the 5th game in 8 days on a road trip. So 5 road games, 3 time zones, 8 days, and also on the 2nd game of back-to-back. While New Jersey was coming off of a couple of days rest, so it was like the worst possible time to play the Devils, but that's fine. Just started watching your videos because I'm getting into hockey. They're great. Appreciate it. Yeah. Glad you're enjoying them. Definitely, yeah, just definitely trying to, and we'll keep doing. I know like early on in the season, there's been a lot of the Kraken R&Rs in a row. I'm still hoping to do, I'm hoping for one a month. I don't know if one's going to happen in October, but we'll try and get one. I'm getting the research and writing done for an NHL 101 video, or actually a couple of them. So at least one of those in November, and I'm aiming for one of those 101 videos per month during the season, and then maybe a burst of them in the off season. We'll see. But yeah, we'll definitely keep those coming. There's definitely more to do. Working on the next one of the hockey history series, the first expansion, as well as one for like basic positioning and team strategy and that kind of stuff. So there will definitely be more of those NHL 101 videos coming. But glad you're enjoying it. glad it's helping. Hope the more people that get into the sport, even if you're not Kraken fans, the better. And if you're not going to be a Kraken fan, being a fan of an East Coast team, the Kraken only play twice a year. That's perfect. We won't be at odds too often. And I think the Devils will be a fun team to if you're just getting into it for the first time now, or maybe getting back into it. Maybe 2 years from now, Devils will be a little bit more fun to get into. But this is like you're getting into a team with the Devils right now that is probably not going to be great this year, but they're going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of frustrating moments, but a lot of really exciting moments as well. I didn't see what that injury ended up being for Jack Hughes, but like with Hughes is super exciting. You got Dougie Hamilton. A lot of exciting things for New Jersey. I think that's a up and coming team. Probably not for in the next couple of years, but maybe say 3 years from now. I think New Jersey is gonna kind of start to make that swing into being a playoff team, and who knows if they can keep it going, maybe better. Hey, you're wearing a throwback Seattle Metropolitans jersey? Absolutely. Where did I get it from? I actually got it from the I don't know, arena store at the Olympic View Arena north of Seattle. I was there playing one of the first. It was like 22. It was a couple of years ago. I think it was 2019. I think it was 2000, like late 2019. I was playing a beer league hockey game up in Olympic View, and it was like as I was leaving the arena, kind of like went to go check out the store to. I think I was grabbing like actually stick tape, and I was like, oh, they got Metropolitans jerseys. I've been looking for one of those, so I grabbed it and got that as well. But yeah, it was like I think it was like $100 too, so it was a pretty good deal. I mean, for a jersey that's hard to find, it's pretty good quality. Like it's all printed. There's nothing stitched onto it or anything like that. But you know, not bad. I know there's some guy there's someone in the Seattle area, I think, that like actually makes like kind of like authentic sweater style Metropolitans jerseys, like made to order. But I have no idea how to find those. But I know the hockey guy has one, and he's mentioned who it was that he got it from a couple of times. I wish I could like point you to which videos. I'm sure if you like go through like the pre-expansion draft videos he did for Seattle, you'll probably see it, and maybe he'll talk about it in one of those. But yeah, I looked on eBay for a while for one and couldn't find anything, and then just happened to see this at that Olympic View Arena, which again, that was like probably 2 years ago now, maybe even more than that. So wish I could help you more find one, but since you got the Kraken home jersey, which it's nice, would you get the Adidas Road White as well? Yes, I will definitely get a road jersey at some point. The only reason I didn't get both at the same time was just because they're expensive. Gotta pick and choose. Like, didn't have quite the money to just dump like $500 on two jerseys. So yeah, but I will be getting a road jersey. Probably not until like Christmas time, and then we'll see who it ends up being. I was definitely like before the season, I was leaning towards Donskoy because I was an Avalanche fan before the Kraken, and the Kraken got Donskoy, who coming into the season I thought was going to play a bigger role than he has so far, but he's still been pretty good. Like other than Yanni Gord, he's probably the best puck handler I think so far that I've seen with the Kraken. But at this point, if I'm going to get a white jersey, it might have to be Tanev or Yanni Gord. Ah, shoot. Astros got one back at 6-2 in the bottom of the eighth with a runner on third and no outs. But yes, I definitely will be getting a white jersey, and I'll be getting any like I probably won't get any of the like special like the when they do like the army style jerseys or the like St. Patrick's where they have like the green jersey for every team with the logo. Like I won't get any of those weird specialty jerseys or like an all-star jersey unless it's in Seattle. Um, but if like once the Kraken have a third jersey or they have a stadium jersey or if they like bring back the reverse retro, which it sounds like they might, and Seattle does one of those, any jersey Seattle wears on the ice, I'll get at some point for sure. Which I'm sure my wife who's watching this will be glad to hear. Fortunately, they only have 2 this season, and it's only going to be 2, so we don't have to worry about a third jersey for a little bit. Are you born and raised in Seattle? Since you have everything Seattle in the background, Seahawks, Mariners, Kraken. Yes. Yep. Seattle area, Western Washington. Spent my whole life in Western Washington, sometime in Bellingham, sometime in Seattle, sometime other places, but yep, Seattle, born and bred basically, so born and raised, I guess. Yeah, I've been a Mariners. Mariners were my first true love as far as sports are concerned because I grew up in the Ken Griffey Jr. era, so hard not to be a like Mariners first fan when Ken Griffey Jr. is on the team. But yep, Mariners, Seahawks. Never got like. Unfortunately, I started to kind of just get into the Sonics right when they left. I would definitely get back into the. I would get back into the NBA and the Sonics for sure if they came back to Seattle. But for now, I'll watch a couple playoff games and that's about it with the NBA. I'm just not really interested unless they are going to come back to Seattle. To be honest. Thanks for the broadcast. Appreciate it. Yeah, glad you're enjoying it. Baby fund. Yeah, he we did we got baby registry. We got he's got his got a onesie, little Kraken onesie jersey thing that we got. He's not quite big enough for it yet, so he hasn't worn it, but I think he wore it once for the sake of it, but it's still way too big for him. As long as as long as he doesn't grow up to be like a Yankees fan or a Rangers fan or like a I don't know 49ers fan or Rams, then we're good. Hopefully, we're gonna do our best to make sure he's a Seattle sports fan, but just as long as we can stay away from the rivals or the hated teams, then I'll be happy. I miss the Kingdome. It was ugly, but I loved it. It was the New Jersey of baseball stadiums. Uh, yeah, I mean, I've really fond memories in the Kingdom. Again, watching Ken Griffey Jr. just like hit one out of the park almost every game. It seemed like there, especially as a kid when you're like going to games, it just seemed like Griffey was always hitting one out of the park. I will say that or I guess it's not Safeco anymore. T-Mobile Park or Safeco for the longest time is it's so much nicer than the Kingdom ever was, and CenturyLink too. Um, the Kingdom was, I would say, much better for baseball than it was for football, though it was loud for football. But baseball, like it was cool to have like like indoor fireworks. I don't think I'll ever see indoor fireworks again. Um, yeah, there were some good things about the Kingdom, but it was time for it to go. It was falling apart. But I'm glad I have the memories of it. What we have now is better, so I'll say that. Here we go. Let's see how they get. Kraken will win the face-off and start with first line as well as Giordano and I'm imagining Alexiak. Oh no, Gio almost just Gio almost just turned it over into a breakaway for Nick Suzuki, and that is not the guy you want getting a breakaway. Gio's had a couple of bad turnovers that have led to goal, like two that have led to goals that I can think of. He's had a couple of bad turnovers early in the season, but he's really good at holding the. He's really good at holding the blue line and keeping it in the offensive zone when they can get set up there. But I would not say he's had the like greatest start to his Kraken season. I'm really trying to get in, find someone. It kind of gets turned over. Good defense from someone there. Oh, they're still on the power play too. Yeah, they just can't get even into the offensive zone on the power play. Are they even gonna get a shot off here? Shoot it, Geeky. Ah. Whoa. McCann's wrist shot is a bullet. All right, we're back to 5-on-5. 4-1 lead. You'd have to like the Kraken's chances with a 4-1 lead 2 minutes into the third, but don't put it in the record until the end of the game. Big hit by Tanev there. He kind of like, you could tell he. Oh, there's another hit from Tanev. Romanov does not like it. Tanev still wins the puck battle. There's two guys on him. And Tanev definitely like backed off from that first hit because Romanov was kind of in an awkward spot, but all right, some good offensive zone time. Couldn't make anything happen from it. A lot of it was just puck battles along the boards. And we got an icing. Let's see how those stats are looking. Just throw it over there, get a little. Oh, there's that hit. And he just comes right back at him. Boink. Yeah, Romanov's like just trying to like. He's trying to give Tanev pay. Like he was just saying, Brown was just saying, he's trying to get Tanev some payback after that big hit, and ends up getting the worst of it as Tanev just puts his shoulder into him. And here's some of those stats. So you can see kind of the second period is pretty even. It looks like they say like possession wise. So this is the Corsi. See if we go to expected goals. But this has definitely been a mostly Seattle game. Although I will say this, I guess it looks pretty Seattle forward. First period ended well. Oh no! Big save from Allen there. I tried to like take a second to take a bite of dinner and it. Sorry. So I can turn down this light a little bit. Seems like it's blurring. There we go. That looks better. It's Eberle again. Like if there's gonna be someone that gets robbed in front of the net, it's gonna be Eberle. Oh, he had 3 chances and just couldn't get it. Allen just matched him. Like everywhere Eberle put his stick, Allen had like a pad or his glove right where Eberle was putting his stick. So it didn't even matter if the puck was there. Like Allen was more defending Eberle than he was the puck, and it worked. So just like you are a Seattle sports diehard, I'm a New York sports fan that watches all 9 pro teams. Wow. You know, honestly, like I've always thought, because I know there's a lot of people like, and I can kind of get it with like Mets Yankees, where if you're like a Mets first fan, you kind of probably wouldn't like the Yankees just because they get all the attention. So I can kind of get it from that perspective, but I feel like if I was, grew up in an area that had like LA or Chicago or New York that had 2 teams per sport, or at least for some of the sports, that I'd probably cheer for both of them. Like I would have the team that is my favorite, but I mean most of those, pretty much all those places, the teams are in like opposite conferences or whatever, so it's they're in opposite conferences, so you can kind of be like, well, this is like I don't know, like I cheer for the Giants, but the Jets are my AFC team, like that kind of thing. Obviously, for football, that kind of sucks if you're in New York because neither of those teams are any good. But I guess the Giants at least got those two Super Bowls in the first decade of the first 15 years or so of the decade, or I guess the 2000s. Um, History is being made tonight. First looks like it. First home win, maybe. Fingers crossed that it. Fingers crossed that we don't have a. Oh, here we go. Breakaway. Who is this? It's Donato. He scores! Woo! Not too often you see a defenseman get on a breakaway, but Donato gets on a breakaway and puts it in. Let's go! 5-1, baby. Did he not? I thought Donato did play in the home opener. Wait. Yes, he did. Donato had the first goal at home. Of course he played in the home opener. Oh, Donato. Oh, I was thinking of Dunn. Oh, he's absolutely right. I don't know why I was thinking about Dunn. I'm thinking about Dunn. But good to see Donato get on the board. And it's from like a stick handle move too from a breakaway. So yeah, it's Donato on the breakaway. For some reason I got Donato and Dunn mixed up in my head, but all right, good to see Dunn get it back on the. He had the first goal in franchise history. I think that's his second one now. So his first one since opening up the scoring for the Kraken in Vegas. Let's go. Donato makes it 5-1. And Donato is definitely a forward. So I don't like when I was saying like you don't see a defenseman on a breakaway too often. I was for some reason thinking it was Dunn that scored it. But yeah, Donato wasn't in the lineup for the home opener. Gets back in and scores a goal on a breakaway. Oh, it was Geeky. Geeky can't handle it. So Kraken now with 22 shots and 5 goals. And Grubauer has stopped 16 of 17 shots from the Habs. I would say like this has defensively been much more what we've like looked for from the Kraken, where they really have not allowed too many like grade A chances. There's been I can think of like 2 or 3 like big chances the Habs had in this game. They had a 2-on-1 where they just missed the net. Another breakaway or partial break where they missed the net that could have been a 2-on-1 because that was where Petrie was coming out or Petrie was coming out of the box. And then Grubauer made a spectacular save in the first that could have made it. I think it was still tied 1-1 at that point, or maybe it was 2-1 already. But he made a spectacular save in the first. But outside of that, I think it's been a relatively like Kraken limiting those big scoring chances that they were giving up during the road trip quite a bit. It's like Grubauer's save percentage didn't look great after the road trip, but it was mostly because like the shots he was seeing were such a heavy skew towards high danger shots that he was seeing because they were just not playing defensively responsible at all. Let Tanev cook. I like it. I root for the Silver Tips. Thunderbirds are the only Seattle team I boo. But if not for Everett, T-Birds would be my team. Yeah, I mean that's like if you're for like WHA where like you've got both like you've got 2 rivals in basically the same greater city area sort of. Like obviously Everett's an entirely different city, but it's still just half an hour away. Yeah, I mean that's a little hard. We're like they're rivals, so you can't really cheer for both of them. I'm definitely T-Birds. Like I'm not a diehard T-Birds fan by any means, but that's if I'm gonna pick a WHL team, it would definitely be the T-Birds. I love their logo. Their colors and logo are my favorite for sure. There you go. Go to bed tonight knowing that there are Canadians uh, that now hate you in Seattle. You've truly arrived. Welcome, and I hope you make the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's Canadiens fans that I feel like I feel like at this point Canadiens fans probably don't like look at this game and dislike Seattle anymore for it. It's probably just like really like can this team not do anything right? I mean, they dominated Detroit on Saturday, but it's been pretty much the Habs just looking bad themselves for most of this season so far. I think there's definitely some Devils fans that might not be huge Kraken fans after injuring Jack Hughes, which it was a clean hit. To be fair, that was not a dirty hit that Hughes got hurt on, but still, that's your star player, star young exciting player, probably the most exciting guy on their team. Like if there was Devils fans that weren't overly happy with the Kraken, I wouldn't blame them. Oh, he wanted us to beat Vancouver. I mean, we wanted us to beat Vancouver too. And honestly, like I was at that game. That was I don't know. The Kraken looked like the better team for pretty much that entire game. Oh, Tanev gets the shot on goal but can't get it to go. It was not a high danger goal by any means, but get that first hat trick in franchise history. If it's gonna happen, it'll probably happen with an empty net at the end. But and you bet, like if Tanev's on the ice and the Kraken get possession with an empty net, they're gonna find a way to get it to Tanev and make sure he gets that hat trick. Which is something like guys do anyway. Like if a guy's on 2 goals and there's an empty net, they'll definitely pass it to him to get him the hat trick, even if it's not the first one in franchise history. Never good seeing a guy go down like that. Absolutely not. No. Yeah. Like big hits are exciting, but you would have liked to see Jack Hughes hop up from that one. And I don't know if he's like still out. I didn't actually see what his injury was, but New York Donnell, yeah, fan of all three of the teams in the New York area. Obviously, with the New Jersey with the Devils like right across the water, got their all three of their Adidas jerseys. I still gotta get an Islanders jersey. I'm working on one for every team. Oh, Sean Kemp's in the house. Got a couple of guys in Sonics gear on either side of him, right up against the glass. And Sean Kemp was at the. He was one of the. He announced one of the picks at the expansion draft. It was Jonas Donskoy. It's just Jonas Dunscali. Just absolutely butchered Donskoy's name. It's pretty funny. Uh, Kraken PR saying Appleton will not be back this game. Which, yeah, that's not too surprising. I feel like if you have a 4 goal lead, and even if it's just like a even if it's just like a bad bruise, like turns out to just be a bad bruise. Like you got a 4-1 lead. There's no reason for him to come out and potentially make an injury worse that you don't really know what it is yet. So, not too surprising he's not back for the end of this one. Hopefully he can be back for Thursday's game. If not then maybe for Sunday against the Rangers. Devils were my main team for 20 years, but I just moved to Seattle and it feels like fate. That's what I like to hear. Plus, I mean, like the Devils can always be your East Coast team still. Like again, they only play twice a year, and outside of like weird COVID seasons, they're not going to play in the playoffs until the Stanley Cup. If that, they're not going to be playoff rivals ever, and they only play twice a year, so you can be a fan of both teams. But good to hear the Kraken are number one. We always want to have the Kraken number one. I'm trying to get one for every team. Yeah, me as well. I think like hockey jerseys just like the best of any sport to me at least. Like baseball, I like baseball ones as well, but it's just kind of like weird with the button down. And I'm definitely not I don't go sleeveless very often, and I'm not a huge like I don't follow the NBA a ton because there's no Seattle team. So, but like football jerseys are they're nice, but like it's just the number on the front and back. Where hockey, you got the big you got the logo on the front that looks really nice. So, ooh, Donato tried to put it in off the face off. Plus, I got some. Oh, Grubauer's out of the. Ooh. Oh, Kraken got like Grubauer had to like leave the goal to make that save, and then kind of got caught out by a bunch of bodies. And Seattle's lucky they got a hold of that, or that was going to be 5-2 pretty quick. That was basically an empty net for a second there. 8:40 left with a 4-goal lead. First 4-goal lead in franchise history. First 5-goal game in franchise history. Yeah, that's probably one. So that's like that. If you're gonna have one complaint with Grubauer so far, that would probably be the one complaint I might have with Grubauer so far. Is that there's been a lot of time. There's been a few times where I feel like he's let a rebounds where he probably could have controlled the rebound better or just like not allowed a rebound. Um, and he's stopped the first shot like he doesn't get scored on the first shot super often, but he's definitely got scored on a couple of rebounds that you might want to see him control a little bit better. But again, I think he's looked really good, and the losses haven't really been on him. It's just kind of the defense in front of him hasn't been amazing until this game. They've looked much better defensively, outside of a couple of just breakaway mistakes that happen to everyone and have definitely happened to them. But they've limited those mistakes as well compared to the start of the season. I hear beer is expensive at Kraken games. Why do they do this to us? I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to make sure people drive responsibly. But yeah, it was expensive. Like I went to the game against the Canucks, and I got a beer because they had a Kraken themed beer from Hop Valley, Kraken Stash. So I was like, all right, first Kraken game, I'll get the Kraken beer. But it was $16 for like one of the tall cans. So like it was at least not a short can, but it was a tall can for $16, which is like you can get a 4-pack of tall cans most places for $16. But probably the biggest ripoff was they had tall cans of Coors Light for $13, which is basically just flavored water with a little alcohol. Like, I'm sorry if there's anybody in here that really likes light beer, but like the only way you should be paying $13 for light beer is if it's a case of it. Like that's Yeah, yeah. It was pretty expensive, and honestly, like we got to our seats, and I was actually talking with, I don't know if any of you guys have seen Emerald City Hockey, but I was talking with JT, one of the guys, or JD, one of the guys over there. But yeah, I was talking to the Emerald City Hockey guys, and yeah, we ended up not getting food. Sorry, like getting him mixed up with JT Brown. It's like listening to him talk at the same time. TJ. But yeah, beer is expensive. I don't know if food's that expensive. I would imagine it probably is. Like if the beer is that expensive and drinks are, then I would imagine that the food probably was. They got the what is it called? Big Chicken, Shaq's restaurant. They've got a few of the big chickens in the. That's why Shaq was here for like the opening weekend, was because his restaurants in. He's got a few of his big chicken restaurant chain in the arena. This has been a big hit. Who was that? Larson riding Suzuki into the boards. Oh, Nick Suzuki going for a hit himself. They've been playing like it's definitely more cautious, I would say, but it's not like the full turtle mode that we saw in Nashville or Columbus for a little bit. It's definitely been a caution more like they're not as aggressive on the forecheck, I would say it looks like, but they're and maybe it's just that like there's been some bad passing from Montreal, so maybe that's part of it. But they're not like they're spending some time in the offensive zone, not as much as they were in the first two periods. But again, it's a 4 goal lead, so you know you you'd probably rather prevent it from being 5-2 than work too hard to make it 6-1. So I don't have too much of a problem with playing defensively with a like 3 or 4 goal lead. It was just when it was like the Nashville and Columbus game when they're just like playing the entire game in their defensive zone with a 1 goal lead. That's a little frustrating to watch. And like it ended up working in Nashville, but you saw in the Columbus game like that's not going to work often enough. And this is not a team built to do well in overtime. So 3-on-3. So what's your favorite reverse retro jersey that came out last year of the 31? Um, Probably. I did really like the Colorado one that was the Nordiques. Like it was like Nordiques with Colorado colors. I liked that one. Um, Probably my favorite though. It's hard not to say LA. I think it probably would have to be the LA one. The LA one was certainly my favorite from the standpoint of like that jersey versus what the team normally wears. I don't like LA's normal jerseys. Most like I don't know. I don't have a huge problem with the black and white. It's or black, silver, and white. It's not my favorite. I mean, it's kind of bland. It's more just that logo, like, it looks like a baseball logo because it's like home plate and all it does is just says LA and then they've got like a little crown and the like LA font is like blocky and kind of gross looking. I'm just not a huge fan of the Kings current jerseys, so the fact that they had that like throwback colors with the like Gretzky era logo was pretty awesome. I think it was the LA one was probably my favorite overall. I did really like the Minnesota ones as well, but like everything Minnesota does with that logo is I mean, how can you I don't know how you can mess up a jersey with that logo that Minnesota has. Grubauer and the Demon are just getting used to each other. Yeah, there's some of that, But like there, you're definitely right. There is something to be said about just like guys getting used to playing with each other, and that goes for the goalie playing with the team in front of him as well. But there was just way too many like defensively irresponsible plays that had nothing to do with Grubauer that would just allow like a bunch of odd man rushes, like 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, and then the defense just like they were just like playing to they weren't really like pressing like when there was an offensive attack they weren't pressing it at all. They were just like staying back to try and like limit passes and let whoever it was get off a shot. So it was just kind of like lazy defense and irresponsible things leading to breakaways that and that was for the forwards too. Like it was some on the forwards letting some like bad breakaways happen, but yeah, I think it was just more to do with bad defense than it really was like them getting used to playing with each other. Although some of it was like the entire road trip, even the game they won in Nashville, the passing looked nice shot from couple shots from Geeky, and I can't remember who that was from the point, but Seattle on the power play from the tripping undone. Um, yeah, the until this like during the entire road trip, the passing was not amazing, and there was definitely some bad passes that led to those breakaways. But you still gotta like as a defenseman, you gotta be ready to you know be going back on that kind of thing. And there was just way too much of them getting caught out and letting those odd man rushes happen. So that's why I don't really look at the road trip as Grubauer's fault too much. The Philly one kind of got out of like the Philly one got a little bit away from him, but the early goals weren't really his fault. And then by the time like the fifth one went in, it was kind of I don't know. What are you gonna do? Terrible. Feel bad for the Habs. I'm a Leafs fan. I mean, I don't feel bad for them tonight, but yeah, this is definitely like 1-6, and none of their games have been competitive at all. Even their one win was a I think it was 6-1 against, which like obviously if you're a fan of the team, you're okay with your team blowing them out every game. You don't need it to be a close one, but like the only game that the Habs really looked competitive in of their losses was the one against the Leafs at the opening game, and even that one was I feel like looked like the Leafs were going to win that most of the game. Although maybe if you're a Leafs fan, that probably wasn't the case. You probably didn't think the same thing just because of how the Leafs are, especially this year so far. But yeah, it's not been a particularly great year for the Habs so far. They did just go to the Stanley Cup final though, so I mean, let's not feel too bad for them, right? Some good chances on this power play. This is how the power play was looking before, and now we're back to it, which is weird pass kind of gets mishandled there. 40 seconds left. Empty net never had. They never go to empty net, so there's. I mean, Kraken kind of kept them from doing it. 30 seconds left. I'm gonna have to say the hat trick for Tanev probably not gonna happen tonight. That's all right. It'll happen. We'll get a hat trick eventually. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. First win at home in franchise history. It's 5-1 over the Montreal Canadiens. Kraken go to 2-4-1. But more importantly, they get that first win at home. Crowd loving it. I'm loving it. I hope most of you guys are loving it. Maybe not the Habs fans, but great game. That was, I talked about it when we started this up, and there were like 5 of you in here that if the Kraken came out playing the way they did against Vancouver, as long as they play most of the games like that, they're gonna have more go their way than aren't. They came out, played that way, and end up with a 5-1 win. First blowout win in franchise history. They had their first blowout loss, obviously, against Philly, but get the first blowout win. And there it is. So, all those people in that stadium that were bummed out about not being at the first home game got to see the first home win. Got to see that Metropolitan's banner unveiling. So, awesome night. Good bounce back from the Vancouver game. Get another win. Couple days and we'll be Kraken will be up against Minnesota, and I think that'll be a tougher test for sure. I think Minnesota is actually a pretty good team. Definitely one of the teams I see as a playoff team in the Central. So I think this is a good kind of, if they don't win this game, you're coming off of at that point a five game losing streak, going into a Minnesota, like a tougher team with Minnesota, and that makes that one hard to win. So it was good to kind of get that first home win, get the whatever was kind of bugging them and keeping them off the right side of the win column, or I guess, get that out of the way and kind of relax a little bit more going into this Minnesota game, not be so uptight, and hopefully, like, if they play the same way they did against again tonight, maybe eliminate a couple of those turnovers. There's a couple more turnovers against the Habs here that definitely could have turned into points. I think that easily could have been 5-3, but they looked like the better team for most of the night still, so at least this time they look like the better team and actually end up winning. Yeah, awesome. Love to see it. Tanev gets goals 4 and 5 on the season, now leads the team with 5 goals in 7 games. Of course, as we keep saying, as everyone expected, Tanev the leading scorer to this point in the season. Got a couple shots off, got a couple chances at the hat trick, but didn't manage to get one in. Congratulations, Kraken. Can't wait till my Oilers play you. Cheers. See you in Seattle. Yeah, I'm not... like I was saying, I don't know if you were here earlier when I was talking about it. I'm not super looking forward to the Kraken playing the Oilers just because I'm scared of what McDavid could do with how the Kraken have played so far with allowing a few breaks. If they allow McDavid or Draisaitl to get a break, like, you might as well just put it in the net. So hopefully they can kind of clean some of that up before they play the Oilers for the first time. Oilers looking good out of the gate though, so yeah, the Oilers, the way the start of the season has gone, like, the Oilers might be the best team in the division, and then it's just up to the playoffs, right? And the Oilers style of hockey has not done them well in the playoffs, much like the Leafs. But McDavid's he's got to get at least to a Stanley Cup at some point, right? You'd have to think McDavid gets to at least one Stanley Cup at some point. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I actually did have chicken for dinner. Actually, I still have like half my dinner left. I didn't want to be eating on camera too much, so we're trying to use some of the stat pages to hide it. But thanks for the commentary. Thanks for the live stream. Absolutely. I'll keep it going for, we'll say, maybe the next 6 minutes. If you guys have any questions, just want to celebrate, say go Kraken, all that stuff. Keep it going for a little bit, and then sign off so I can finish my dinner here and start getting the Kraken R&R going for the first ever home win. Kraken win 5-1 against the Habs on the night they unveil the championship banner from 1917. They didn't really do championship banners as far as I know back then, so it's been a banner that's been waiting to be unveiled in Seattle for 104 years. Finally does. Have you ever watched the Mighty Ducks movies? Absolutely, I've watched the Mighty Ducks movies. D1 and D2, and we don't talk about D3, but I did see it as well. D1 and 2 are fantastic. Again, D3, awesome game, go Kraken. Montreal is so good this year. Well, give that the old slash s. Yeah, we knew coming into this game, like, both of these teams had not had ideal starts to their season, so, like, you know, it was going to be kind of more the, like, really, for one fan base, and a sigh of relief for the other. So it was good to see Seattle finally get that first W at home. We get that sigh of relief. It was definitely started, like, there's still a feel, and it'll last this whole season, I imagine, of, like, whatever happens, at least we have NHL hockey in Seattle finally. But it was definitely starting to get to a point after, like, 4 losses in a row, even with one of them being in overtime, where it's like, well, like, it's fun having a team, but it would also be fun having a team that wins some games, right? So good to see that. We'll see how the Minnesota game goes, and then we get the Rangers on Sunday after that. So Minnesota on Thursday, Rangers on Sunday. Both of those are home games. If they play the way they have their first 2 home games against Minnesota, then I think that's going to be a pretty good game. With the Rangers, again, playing the way they have these last 2 games, that's definitely a winnable game. But Rangers have a lot of forward talent, so you definitely want to be playing pretty responsibly defensively and not allowing too many breakaways against the Rangers. And those defensive mistakes could definitely bite them against the Rangers. So we'll see with that one. A little bit same with Washington, with Minnesota, but really just mostly with Kaprizov and I guess, like, the Eriksson Ek and Greenway line as well. That there's definitely some guys that can hurt you there, but I feel like the Rangers have a few more of the, like, high speed, like, guys that'll hurt you on a breakaway, where Minnesota is much more of the, like, hold the zone and create chances, which is not something you can really say about Minnesota up until this year. And speaking of Minnesota, they are currently up 3-1 with 7 minutes left in the third over Vancouver. Golden Knights did unfortunately pull it out. Predators beat the Sharks. Jets Ducks are tied 3-3 with a minute left in the third. And another game we were following from baseball, first game of the World Series. The Braves do hold on to win 6-2, so that's what we like to see. Stop those Astros. We got elephants upstairs. Fussy baby upstairs. Go to sleep, Tor. Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Now you know his name. Go to sleep, little guy. Oh, man. Good game. And the like, all in all, that was so Hackstall was saying after the Vancouver game, even though they lost, that was their best 60 minutes of hockey, like their best full game. And you have to say that this is now their best game, because they played pretty much the same, but limited a little bit more turnovers and took advantage of some Montreal mistakes. Montreal just not looking super crisp. I guess they allowed a couple of breakaways. They allowed Tanev to get behind them on one goal, and Donato with the breakaway to score another one. So I guess 2 of those goals are on breakaways. So Seattle capitalizing on some mistakes from Montreal, putting a couple of just good offensive zone chances in as well. And fortunately, Montreal not really able to take advantage of too many Seattle mistakes. There's the one goal they got was kind of, I don't even know if you could really call it a mistake by Seattle. It was just kind of one that, like, shot out from the boards in a weird way, and then kind of bounces, a couple of weird bounces find their way to a couple of Habs sticks, and they get it in, which is not to take anything away from Montreal on that goal. It's just kind of like one of those things that happens. They took advantage of the situation, even if it wasn't necessarily created or allowed by Seattle so much. It just kind of, that's the way hockey is sometimes. So that's what 60 minutes looks like. I can dig it. Yep. That's pretty much the first 60 minutes of dominant play that the Kraken have had. Looking good in all 3 periods. obviously building the 4-1 lead coming into the third, and then not taking the foot off of the gas, which was, they did a little bit. I would say they kind of like, they still had the foot on the gas a little bit, but it definitely eased off a bit. Didn't go into like the full turtle mode of just like they did in Nashville, where they came out in the third period. Like they went into that third period in Nashville with all the momentum, and then came into the came into the third period, I should say. They came out of the second period with all the momentum in the Nashville game, and then came into the third period just like seeming like they wanted to be in their defensive zone as much as Nashville wanted to be there as well. So it was good to see that kind of, especially after, so that was like a one-off, right? But then after they kind of showed similar things in Columbus, it was starting to be, started to be a little bit worried about, great, is this we have a third period lead, let's just play not to lose strategy? But yeah, they had more of a lead in this game and more reason to maybe play a little bit that way, and kind of, they didn't ease off too much. So good to see. 2-4-1 sounds a lot better than 1-5-1. For Montreal, it's 1-6. And for the Kraken, 2-4-1, you're in a division where, I mean, obviously it's still either way, you're 7 games into an 82 game season, so either team can bounce back. Obviously, like we saw in the last full season we had was the season where St. Louis was last place in January and then ended up winning the Stanley Cup. So there's still plenty of time to turn seasons around, but for the Kraken, it's much easier with the division that they're in, the way it looks, even still as the season's gotten started. Where for Montreal, they're in a tough division. It's going to be hard to battle your way into it was going to be hard to battle your way into a playoff spot, even a wild card spot as it was, but starting 1-6, yikes. Yeah. Maybe once, hopefully for them, Carey Price can, hopefully whatever he's getting himself taken care of, which is ultimately the best thing for him personally. And at the end of the day, it's a sport, and you want the people to, the players are people too, and you need them to do the best for them, especially when it comes to mental health, that kind of stuff. So, but hopefully for the Habs, he can get through whatever he's going through and come back for them. And Jake Allen's, I don't know. I guess I haven't watched enough of the Habs in this game. Maybe you like to see Jake Allen stop a couple more of those, but ultimately I don't think this one is really on Allen too much. This one, maybe not quite as bad, but for the Habs, it looked a lot like the Philly game did for the Kraken, where it was really just a lot of the Kraken kind of controlling play and then taking advantage of mistakes. And for the Habs defensively, they looked decent defensively until the Kraken would get set up. And once the Kraken got set up, they were able to get in front of the net, which is what led to Tanev's first goal. And honestly, like Tanev's second goal, they let him get behind the defense. So that was something we really didn't see with the Kraken up until this point, was that net front presence, and something that we saw them allowing other teams to do, especially during the road trip. We saw a lot of the Kraken just like letting a guy stand in front of the net and do whatever he wants, which is kind of a little bit what Montreal let Seattle do in this game. And there you go. FML 5-1. Kevin, I'm assuming you're a Habs fan looking at that score. Yep. Ends 5-1 in the Kraken's favor, which for those of us in here that are Kraken fans is good news. If you're a Habs fan, it's more of the same from the first 5 games. Fortunately, there's the one upside for the Habs so far is that there's that one night in Detroit on Saturday where the team switched jerseys, and the Habs get credit for that win. I'm just kidding about that, obviously, but 6-1 for the season. I think you mean 1-6, but yeah, not a good start for Montreal. If it wasn't for Arizona basically like doing if it wasn't for Arizona basically just saying have at us, like they might as well be playing with an empty net, which is not even necessarily a comment on their goaltending, which is also pretty bad. It's just like Arizona's like so unabashedly tanking that it's just like does nobody see that this is a tank? Like they're not even trying to hide it. Like at least with Buffalo last year, it just seemed like it was like the perfect storm of everything going wrong. With Arizona, it seems like it's almost like it seems like it's more planned than what happened with Buffalo last year. But outside of Arizona, the Habs have had easily the worst start of the season, and as far as teams that weren't expecting to be this bad, they've definitely had the worst start as far as compared to expectations, I would say. Especially for Habs fans who I feel like in large part were kind of feeling like people were discounting them early after just going to the Stanley Cup, where most people don't have them as a playoff team. But yeah, early returns they definitely don't look like a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination. Every team can have an off night in the NHL. Yep, every team can have an off night in the NHL. The Habs have had 6 of those in 7 games so far. So again, just 7 games into the season, so plenty of time to turn it around. It was just 2 years ago that we watched the Blues go from last to Stanley Cup from January to July. So again, plenty of time to still turn it around, but not the ideal plan to start off 1-6. Tampa will win the cup. It's obvious. I don't know. They've all. I mean, again, it's just the start. They've had a bit of a slow start. They haven't looked like the best team. They haven't looked like the Lightning really for the last couple. Although, even I guess last year's regular season, the Lightning kind of looked like it was just tread water until you get to the playoffs and then be the Lightning. And I don't think it was planned at all by any means, but especially with Kucherov hurt again, people are like, oh great, here they go again. Kucherov's hurt, but he'll show up good to go for the start of the playoffs, and we got 18 million in cap space all of a sudden again. Although it would just be like 9 million with him, but Florida wins everything. Well, they got to win a round in the playoffs. Florida's another one of those teams that just can't get past the first round. Although for them, unlike the Leafs, they've also had a lot of trouble getting to the first round, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem this year. Seems like they're pretty much a lock for the playoffs already, unless just the wheels totally come off, which yeah, it's great start for them. Great start for them. Great start for the Oilers, which the Oilers are built for the regular season, so I mean, McDavid 13 points in 5 games that's just ridiculous. That's not fair. Oh, I meant the state, not the Panthers or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay's had a good run of it for the last few years. Obviously, 2 Stanley Cups. Rays were in the World Series last year. Super Bowl, and Bucks are back at it again this year. So I will say this: if there's gonna be one city that's winning a bunch of championships, I'd rather it be like one like Tampa Bay that's kind of could use it, rather than like Boston, where it just makes all their fans feel super entitled, or more entitled than they already do. Sorry if you're a Boston fan, but Boston fan base not super popular outside of Boston. Tampa and LA have been fire. Yeah, I guess the Dodgers and Lakers both won last year as well. So good year for COVID. If there's one upside for people in LA during COVID, it was that your sports did well, as well as Tampa Bay, I guess. Although Florida didn't really seem to care about the pandemic, which was not a good thing for that state. But anyway, well, we won't get into that too much. I'm a pathetic Leafs fan. Yeah, not a good start for the Leafs. I will say this, like, I don't hate the Leafs. I like the Leafs, even though they kind of are the Cowboys of the NHL, and I hate the Cowboys almost as much as any other team in the NFL. Like, I don't know. I want to see the Leafs do well, like not too well, but it would be fun to see them win a first round. That said, it still is kind of fun to watch Steve Dangle go absolutely crazy after every loss. but it's fun to watch him be happy too. Yeah. At least the Raptors won in 2019. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I was cheering for. That was like the one time I was not cheering for the underdog. I was cheering for Golden State in that series just because Durant was on it, and Durant's like the one player that Seattle fans hold on to in the NBA. Of like he's the last guy that the Seattle drafted before they moved. Well, drafted and played here before they moved, and he left OKC in like the worst way possible, which everyone in Seattle absolutely loved. Like anything he can do to rip the hearts out of OKC is the best. So had to love Durant, so I was pulling for Durant there. But did the Kraken win? They sure did win. 4-1 now. That's 2 wins, 1 at home. First home win. First 5-goal game. First 4-goal lead. I like seeing Canadian teams win at hockey. It seems natural. Well, it's been a while since Stanley Cup. I do like that there's that's one of the things I definitely like about the NHL over the other like 3 big North American leagues is that there is more than one Canadian team. I wish there were more Canadian teams in the other leagues. Obviously the NFL has none because the CFL exists. I think if the CFL, like if COVID had killed the CFL like it almost did, I almost wouldn't be surprised to see the NFL start expanding into Canada, but yep. Please don't quote Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if I was quoting Stephen A. Smith. I don't watch enough Stephen A. Smith to know if I'm quoting him. Oh, he did have that. I think you're. Oh, when he had the little rant about I don't know much about hockey, but I know the Leafs lose in the playoffs. It's like, well, someone told him about the Leafs. Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. is the best. Oh, that was my childhood hero growing up for sure. All right. Well, I think we're gonna get ready to wrap this up. If you guys have any last minute questions before we go, call it a night. Kraken get the big win. Best game of the season for the Kraken so far. Even aside from the scoreboard, it was their best all around game defensively. Easily, I would say easily their best game defensively. Um, Goaltending, Grubauer looked good as usual. Looked much better behind like competent defense, which this was the first time he saw mostly good defense in front of him. Offensive end, I would say they looked better offensively actually in the Vancouver game, but they managed to actually get the pucks in the net in this game, which is definitely a big plus. Couple big breakaways, couple big goals. Tanev gets 2. Second time for him getting 2 in a game. So big win. Second time the Kraken have unveiled a banner in 2 games. So that probably stops in the Minnesota game. I don't think there's too many banners that they can unveil. Obviously with the retiring 32 in the first game and now unveiling the 1917 Stanley Cup banner from the Metropolitans. It's fun. First of many wins in Seattle for the Kraken. First of many. We'll be back. We'll be doing more of these streams for sure. Kind of aiming at, originally I was thinking once a month, but schedule allowing, and there's got plenty of other things going on with the baby in the house, but schedule allowing, we'll try and maybe do one every other week of these streams. And hopefully a lot more wins. So yeah. Until next time, I think, see one more comment here. I love the mild commentary. Yeah, we get excited when the game's going. I don't have, that's the one thing about the Kraken is it's hard to be too like up in arms about this or that because it's like, I mean, they haven't really been around long enough. They haven't been around long enough to get too like angry. It's like, well, At least we have an NHL team. Now, if I was doing this for the Mariners, or maybe even the Seahawks this season, yeah, it might be a little bit stronger emotions. But all right, we'll call it there. Again, thanks for joining for the stream, everybody. It's been a fun one for sure. Great to be streaming for this first home win in Kraken history. And until next time, hopefully another Kraken win. But until next time, stay safe out there. Keep being good to each other, and of course, go Kraken. And then we'll cut off the stream awkwardly as usual because that takes a second. And all right, go Kraken.